Okay. Now, there may be some questions as to why I decided to randomly start a stream without maybe announcing it. There's a couple of reasons for that. The first one is that I was sort of planning to do a stream today, but it was kind of like a nebulous kind of plan, and I wasn't sure if I was going to try to do it. Um, then I found myself watching all sorts of weird stuff. Um, First off, I guess we'll start right with the prayers of Holy Fathers with Jesus Christ, our God of mercy on us and save us. Amen. Roka Remnant, God bless you. Okay, so why am I doing this stream? Well, basically because of the fact that I had been planning to today, but unfortunately I kind of got distracted, and then I realized I may as well just start the thing. So what is this stream going to be about? Well, actually, I'm kind of semi leaving that up to the viewer. This is what I mean by that is I have some general things I want to cover, but they're not actually real things. So, if people want me to review stuff, etc., basically what I'm trying to do is first off ask for help. I just got a call, probably about 3 hours ago, from the mechanic. For those who don't know, the saga of Father Joseph's vehicle, basically since 2022, the car hasn't been inspected due to frame issues. Because it wasn't inspected, I kept getting tickets, and I continued to get tickets, and no repairman would take me until about 2 weeks ago, where he said he'd take a couple of weeks to look at the car. So I actually do have an amount that I need to pay, and I can get the car back on the road, and I will have my car back, and it will be in working order, and I won't get tickets, and so that's kind of a big deal. So I will keep bringing that back. I'll probably keep talking about that every so often. Um, that said, it's also going towards the end of the month when all the expenses happen and all the crazy bills and everything start happening. And for the most part, I have been very grateful, and I'm very grateful over since July. Somehow we've made it through. And then it starts to go. It starts to go. Every so often, I'll have to ask and say, ask God, please help us out. I do actually have an idea that I think if you've been following what I've been doing, my plan soon will be to begin um, really elevating the book. What I mean by that is elevating the standard of publishing texts, and hopefully, instead of donations, people can make purchases of useful books that they can give out to friends that they can use to help evangelize. So that's kind of the kind of aim that I'm going for. So yes, it is a massive blessing, but that's a lot of it. It's I have to thank God. I have to thank all of you guys for your help. Okay, so we've covered the car repair as I mentioned. I got a total for it. It's like $700, but it's a lot less than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be like 2,000, which is like the normal monthly expenses, but it's not. Yeah, so this is good. That's a plus. Now I just have to figure out and pray over where it's going to come from, and then the next thing, as I mentioned, of course, end of month. Also, I've noticed that there's been a lot of questions about the fast and about Great Lent and about how to fast and about different availabilities of foods. I am here to answer all of the questions. I'm literally just going to stay on this stream until everyone's questions are completely answered. If you sneak one in at the end, I will just stay longer. That's how we're doing this stream today. It's going to be, you can call it a telethon, call it a begathon, call it a griftathon. I don't know what you want to call it, but the point is, call it a gripathon. But the point is that is going to be kind of a focus here. I'm literally going to try to be available as long as humanly possible, as long as me possible. I mean, I know there are people who can do like 14-hour streams. I've never done one. The longest stream I've done is 3 hours, but we're going to try to break that today if people have questions, comments, requests to review things. I know I'm backlogged on those. And so request to review, I'll be specific, request to review videos, because I think it would be unfair if I went to the book reviews and just sat here reading while you were there. This is kind of what I'm planning to do here. And if you may have noticed, I have this come at me, bro thing. Yesterday, was it yesterday? I believe it was yesterday. Yesterday, a friend of the channel, if you know Gene Apologetics, Jad Farah, he was doing a stream with Razim Zoomer. And so that was interesting. And I came on as an interested observer to ask questions, at which point the usual crowd of angry people showed up with the whole schismatic. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad we are glad to be your second choice, DTC. So in any case, we'll take it. But in any case, so because of this, I realized that I have a lot of people who I guess will just randomly decide to attack on certain streams, and I have opened the door for them to do that here. For all those, how shall I put this? For all those weak, cowardly people, I am available to you. If you guys watching know any weak, cowardly people that don't like true orthodoxy, etc., tell them I'm here to talk to them right now. I am willing even to put them on the screen. I'm willing to put people on the screen. Just because I think everyone should get a fair chance to explain themselves. Now, granted, we've answered them. And sometimes they, a lot of it's psychological, personal feelings of pain, disappointment in themselves, just mad that they didn't eat, their Wheaties or something. And yes, random supporter too. Thank you, Adrian. I'm glad to have everyone on. And as I said, this is going to be a stream. As I said, my goal ultimately is to get enough word out about the need to get my car fixed and how much it'll be. Also, end of the month, whatever anyone can do to help, it's great. I'm here to answer questions on fasting, and I'm here to answer people who like to go off on true orthodoxy. I'll even bring them on the stream. I'll bring them on the stream, guy. If there's a person who wants to actually challenge me on this, I noticed that I did mention that I want to challenge Adam Green, but that is actually something that I want to do on the Crucible. So we'll see about that. But the point is, we're here to challenge just about anyone. I'm going to put in a link, and I have a feeling maybe this might be dangerous, but we do it every Sunday anyway, and now we're just going, we're expanding. We're expanding from Sunday. So you can call in live with the link and stuff like that. So, that's what we're doing here. We're going to talk about fasting. We're going to review things you want to review that I might have neglected to review. I get a lot of requests. And more importantly, if people want to come at me, bro, your opportunity awaits. I am going to wait until the final question is called. I'm going to wait till there is not a single person in this chat who says, wait, hold on. I will wait for you today. Today we're going all out. We're gonna try to deal with everybody and everything. I have gotten so many interesting, to say the least, comments, questions, etc. over the past week, just about the basics. Like, and of course, am I going to turn these into little clips? I hope so. I hope we have enough material. Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff to cover. If people want to, or maybe, I don't know, maybe Tuesday night's quiet. It doesn't seem like it, but in any case, so this is what I'm doing right now. I am not going to leave the stream, even if this means I have to stay for snacks. And I have snacks. I've got some snacks over there, and I've got water, as you can. Well, I don't know if you can see it, but can you see the water? Well, okay, the point is there's a water machine over there. And so we've got water, we've got peanuts. We are ready for a mega stream. I don't know how to do a mega stream. Never done one before, but today it's happening. See that? It's only been 10 minutes and I already need some water. But okay. So questions, comments. Want to tell me I look stupid? I mean, I'm really open to everything. And of course you can always call in live if you feel like it. But so let's see here. And I will go through a couple of the things that I was talking about earlier. Because let's just look and let's see what we got here in the show suggestions. Okay, did that one. We're going to be digging further back. We're going to go even. Okay, DTC says super pumped to get the new prayer book. Did you get it? Like, what do you think? I'd love to get your kind of review of it. Because I thought it was pretty. I think it's pretty cool. Let me see here. I feel bad putting on the Redeemed Zoomer one, considering I was just commenting on the fact that I was, talking on James' stream about that. I had asked questions, and some of those came in, and then some people started popping up to attack. We've answered these articles. Did the Gavin Portland thing. Fanatic Coptic, John of Damascus, a Nestorian heretic. Oh, it didn't arrive yet. Okay. Well, give it time. In any case, as I said, I am here not just to be helpful and beggy and stuff, but also to challenge any bro who wants to challenge me. If there has ever been a case where someone is like, I could totally answer the true Orthodox. Okay, well, here's your chance. You got a link. Tell your friends. Tell the really annoying friends. Just let's get them out here. Let's say hello and pet them on the head and stuff and explain why they're wrong. Okay, so I might even do the Vatican Catholic thing just because I'm gonna do it in like slow motion because they love to just throw in a bunch of junk. Let me see here. How long is it actually? Oh, that's an hour. I don't want to do an hour. Well, I mean, I could. We could just make fun of the Diamond Brothers for hours. Okay, I mean, it's possible. It's actually becoming kind of tempting. You know what? I'm feeling a little tempted to kind of just make fun of the Diamond Brothers while I wait. Let me see here. So we'll do that. This is that video, Eastern Orthodoxy Exposed, their heretical doctrine of God. Let's see here. There was a parody Diamond Brother account that showed up here. I don't know if he was parody or real. I can't tell the difference. But hey, maybe he's watching. Maybe it'll get him mad. He'll get triggered. Let's see here. Let me increase the size of that. See if that. There we go. Oh, that's perfect. Okay, so let's share that screen. And we're gonna take this thing apart. Whoa, that's not what I meant. I'm just bad at pressing buttons. Okay, so here we go. All right. So there it is. Okay. So let's.
A few 100 million people in the world claim to be Eastern Orthodox. This video will prove that Eastern Orthodoxy is not true Christianity, but actually a heretical sect and a false religion.
Okay. That's an interesting opening.
There are many serious problems with the theology of Eastern Orthodoxy. However, this video will focus primarily on one very important issue, namely, that Eastern Orthodoxy is heretical in its doctrine of God.
Okay. So we can take pauses on this. This is going to be fairly rash. What on earth am I seeing here? Deuterocomical. Is that a channel to review? Give me a little bit more details. What are we looking at here? And a prophecy session with Jonathan Photios and other members of the Byzantine apocalyptic prophecy group like Vladimir Moss would be very interesting. Well, if I remember correctly, and please forgive me if I'm wrong, but I thought isn't Jonathan Photius the guy who's related to Apostolos Macracus? Like it was like his grand uncle or something, and so he feels like he has to keep the family legacy or something like that. But anyway, we'll see.
Eastern Orthodoxy is not in fact Orthodox Christianity, as we will see, even though it purports to be. We typically refer to it as, quote, orthodoxy, and its followers as the, quote, orthodox.
Just like we would refer to you as, quote, Latin mass heretics because you're not priests and have an organization of two guys in a trailer, but okay.
To avoid tedious repetition, however, in this video we will often just refer to the religion as Eastern Orthodoxy or Orthodoxy, and its followers as the Orthodox.
Okay, well
in
that's
Christianity, there is one God in three divine persons, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. The three divine persons possess the exact same divine essence or nature or substance. That's why even though the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost are distinct persons, and each person is God, since each person has the exact same divine essence, there is only one God. If the divine essence were not one and undivided, there would not be just one God. However, after the controversy between Gregory Palamas and Barlaam in the 14th century, Eastern Orthodoxy officially committed itself to the view articulated by Gregory Palamas, whom they call Saint Gregory Palamas, that in
and you also call Saint Gregory Palamas because he's in your calendars as Saint Gregory Palamas.
God himself, the essence is distinct and different from the energy. The position that in God there is a real distinction between his essence, ousia, and his energy, energeia, is the official teaching of Orthodoxy and has been since at least 1351. Those who study Orthodoxy have probably encountered the Palamite distinction, but many others are not familiar with it. We will explain why Orthodoxy's adoption of the Palamite distinction / the Palamite view of God devastates its claim to be Christianity.
Oh, this is going to be. I'm curious as to how they plan to do this sort of thing, because the nature of the distinction between essence and energies is one that occurs by relation to how it approaches creation itself. And so I'm not exactly sure how they're going to prove that essence and energy, well, first off, they're obviously not separate. Are they? I mean, the energies aren't created. So I'm not sure what they're going to try to say to imply that the essence and energies are. I mean, they're implying there's a distinction that isn't totally real. So I don't know what they're going to do with that, but I'm going to guess it has something to do with yoga.
It proves that Orthodoxy is not even Trinitarian and monotheistic. Orthodoxy is actually...
Okay, so note what he just said there, that it's not even Trinitarian and monotheistic. This would imply, if he's implying that essence and energies are completely distinct, that they are two gods. This is the same kind of argument that we hear from Muslims about the Trinity. To imply that the essence and energies are in some way, shape, or form two different gods means that they don't really understand what the essence or energies are. But you keep cooking.
Polytheistic, as we will see. Orthodoxy's view of God is in fact heretical and blasphemous.
Okay. Once again, I'm gonna cut in just because they like to do this where they pile on the names. So I'm just gonna interrupt the names so it's funny.
In the 14th century, there was an Orthodox cleric named Barlaam of Calabria. He visited the famous Orthodox monastery at Mount Athos in Greece. While there,
actually, Esphigmenu, actually, if I remember correctly.
He observed the strange practice of the monks who were known as hesychas or quietists. Quote, Barla...
Okay, I want to stop right here. You see how he quickly threw in, he basically was like, well, they're hesychasts or quietists. Quietists have a very specific meaning in Roman Catholicism. Give me just one moment. So you have to realize how this kind of rhetoric is used to as red meat for their own masses. So let me get to quietism. Hold on, because I'd like to, since they sneak in all sorts of concepts. Let's go with, of course, let's just go with Wiki, the world's worst source. But we'll share Wiki here. Okay. So quietism is the name given, especially in Catholic theology, to a set of contemplative practices that rose in popularity in France, Italy, and Spain during the late 1670s and 1680s, particularly associated with the writings of the Spanish mystic Miguel de Molinos and subsequently Francois Malavin and Madame Guyon, were condemned as heresy by Pope Innocent XI and the papal bull Calestis Pastor of 1687. Quietism was seen by critics as holding that a man's highest perfection consists in a sort of psychical self-annihilation and consequent absorption of the soul into the divine essence even during the present life. Now, note that the idea that it says that this is it mentions the union of the soul with the divine essence. There's a difference between total self-annihilation into the divine essence and, say, for example, theosis, or even kenotic practices of the emptying of the soul, because the idea that the creation can simply become the created, the creation can become the creator or united to the point where you simply don't exist anymore. And I bet you any kind of money it will make some sort of reference somewhere to, yep, there it is. Okay, in the Eastern Orthodox Church of Analysis, just dispute might be located in hesychasm, in which the supreme aim of life on earth is the contemplation of the uncreated light, whereas man is intimately united with God. Okay, but that's not even the same. So the point is, I guess maybe this is where the Diamond Brothers got it from. Maybe they just really thought that, like, that this was the same thing. But just a quick back there.
Named Barlaam of Calabria. He visited the famous Orthodox monastery at Mount Athos in Greece. While there, he observed the strange practice of the monks who were known as hesychasts or quietists. Quote, Barlaam had, when on a visit to Mount Athos, come in contact with the hesychasts or quietists, a school which had lately sprung up amongst the monks of that famous monastery. They held the strange opinion that the soul had its seat in the umbilical region, by the intent contemplation of which they could discern the light which appeared at the transfiguration. End quote. The hesychasts practiced a form of spirituality in which they claimed that through certain body positions, breathing techniques, prayer, and inner stillness, they could experience the uncreated light of God. They fixed their gaze on their navels, the area of their belly, and rested their chin on their chest. Quote, by fixing one's gaze on one's navel and resting one's chin on one's breast, one could make one's breathing coincide with the repetition of the prayer.
That's actually, that's, with putting that aside, there's the question of opinion. One knows for a fact that this is true. Anyone who said the Jesus prayer more than 100 times knows that no matter what position you're in, eventually, as you're saying it, it can be timed with your breathing. That's not like that's not the revelation he thinks it is.
Prayer, end quote. One can recognize the similarity between the method of the Orthodox hesychasts and the practices of Eastern pagan religions, such as
this is where he's going to go into his yoga thing. So if you haven't watched these sort of things, I have not. I don't remember if I've seen the full one of this. They made a shorter one that specifically dealt with the yoga. So this is where he's going to start showing yogis and yoga pants. I'll try to skip past that if that happens.
yoga, which also
like that. And that. And that's
and focused on themselves to contact or experience the quote energy. The similarity to Eastern
hold
paganism
on.
and the Orthodox hesychasts used
I want to
breathing
read the quote.
methods and focused on themselves to contact.
Okay, hold on. Marlon had, when on a visit to Mount Athos, come into contact with the hesychasts or quietists, a school which had lately sprung up amongst the monks of that famous monastery. Okay, so Alexander Hugh Hoare is apparently the first person to claim that the hesychasts were quietists, which is ridiculous. They held a strange opinion that the soul had its seat in the umbilical region, by the intent contemplation of which they could discern the light which appeared at the transfiguration. Yeah, I'd have to see the quote. I don't think there's any part of the writings of St. Gregory that imply that the soul kind of sits around your belly button. I'd be blown away if I saw that, but I could see it being misinterpreted that way. That certain prayers are said to be that way. Okay. DTC just commented in Orthodox Ethos that NFTU is live. Let's see if they'll delete it. They don't want to lose their viewers. Although it would be funny if anyone's willing to come at me, bro, from there. That would be kind of hilarious. Okay, so let's take a look here and
act or experience the quote energy. The similarity to Eastern paganism is striking.
okay, he's gonna hammer my guess this made up point of his that it's pagan.
Eastern pagan religions are, of course, all demonic. They're false.
Oh, okay, there's some more. We got Krishna here. Okay, we got this guy again. More Krishna. Okay.
Quote, divine energy within themselves, just as the Orthodox hesychasts.
Okay, so we're gonna keep focusing on this one sentence over and over, and we're gonna add to it. We're gonna dress it up. We're gonna make it more, make it sound more pagan.
Fixed their gaze on themselves, on their bellies or hearts, in the hope of connecting with the quote uncreated energy.
I really don't know if I even like his use of this picture because you don't actually know if this monk is saying the Jesus prayer or he's just sleeping. I mean, like this is just the twisted way they do things.
The similarity between hesychasm and Hindu yoga is so obvious that it's sometimes
Again, note how many times these people will reuse the same kind of meme structure that they're doing. Let me see what we got here. Okay, that looks like Callisto's Ware.
so obvious that it's sometimes acknowledged in works written by adherents of Eastern Orthodoxy. For instance, Timothy Ware, a metropolitan bishop and well-known author who writes on behalf of the Orthodox Church,
and
noted, quote, one of the most thoroughgoing attempts in the history of Christian spirituality to ascribe a positive and dynamic role to the body during prayer was made by the 14th century hesychasts. As an accompaniment to the recitation of the Jesus prayer, they proposed a physical technique that has obvious parallels in yoga and among the Sufis of Islam.
So now we got the Sufis.
Where also says, quote, striking parallels exist between the physical techniques recommended by the Byzantine hesychasts and those employed in Hindu yoga and in Sufism.
All right, so basically the gist of his argument is now, let me see, hold on. Okay, so we've done your blessing. May God bless you, Father. Good evening, Father. It's actually normal to get blocked when you spam unrelated things or try to self-promote. Yeah, him bringing up Metropolitan Callistus is funny because he constantly can celebrate with RCs. Yeah, he's a massive ecumenist. So right now, the big evidence that we have for claiming that the practice of the Jesus prayer it comes from Eastern religions is the Diamond Brothers saying, I said so, and Callistus Ware, who never met a religion he wouldn't want to join with Orthodoxy. Okay, so this is terrible. Ree sounds triggered. Ree should sound triggered because Ree was actually one of the come at me bros. Bring Ree on. Where's Ree? Oh, there we go. Oh, you're here, Ree. You can Rye. I don't know. Is it Ree or is it Rye? Yeah, that you were asking me about like what kind of, were you one of the people asking me yesterday about what kind of schismatic I was, or because if you want further questions or answers, I mean, you can come on, or you can ask your questions here. Yeah, no, that was one of the triggered people. I'd love to see if I could find the other ones, but if you're the other little friends there that were for some reason attacking me on James' stream when I didn't do anything, I was just asking questions. Okay. All right. No, well, it was in the James stream, if y'all remember. I was like, what the heck? But anyway, very poor form, very poor form. So let's continue. And if anyone has any real questions, this is where you can ask the most controversial questions, the most triggering questions. That's what this stream is about. And yeah, I know I'm right. You and three other people. So if you want to ask that question here, I'll even put a link to the StreamYard if you want to jump on. Anyone can jump on right now because the Come At Me Bro stream is real. If you feel like it, feel free. So yeah. So yeah, okay. Anyway, let's get back to making fun. This is probably not going to become a clip video. This Diamond Brothers video is terrible. I mean, it's bad.
Quote. He also says that the physical technique of the hesychast has three main aspects. Quote, 1, external posture. 2, control of the breathing. 3, inward exploration. Just as the aspirant in yoga is taught to concentrate his thought in specific parts of his body, so the hesychast concentrates his thought in the cardiac center. End quote. When
I don't know anyone very well versed with the Jesus prayer who has done anything that's being described in this. If Callista's Ware wrote that, it's an embarrassment, but that doesn't change the scenario. Adrian writes, completely different pose for a start. Usual failure to distinguish between heretical world Orthodox and humanist new calendar sources and true Orthodox sources perhaps should be challenged. Well, that's what we're doing here. But if we're being honest, the Diamond Brothers are not going to challenge us because they don't challenge anyone really. What they do is they make nasty little videos, but when you call them out and try to have for a debate with them, they won't do it. They just won't. So again, just to what we're doing here, this is going to be as long a stream as I can go. This is the car repair end of month fasting stuff. Come at me, bro stream. Because I did get an estimate on the car repair. Again, anyone wants to assist, they can. The end of month, obviously, expenses will come at the end of month. Answering questions about fasting, and for those who, to debate an even empty chair if they won't show up. That's unfortunately, if I did that, I'd be debating empty chairs every week. I challenged people to argue. What did I say? What did I say? And you asked why I said that. Oh no, I said Matthew that Matthew of Ravenna is probably a saint, and I believe he's a saint. Yes, that was a personal belief. But there were other people who were being kind of nasty, and I assumed that they were your friends. And so let me see here. So yeah, again, I don't want to do nonstop empty chairs. I could have done empty chairs with a number of people over the years. Not the least would be people like Jay Dyer and David Erhan. What good would it have done? Honestly, arguing with an empty chair doesn't help anything. People who want to ask legitimate questions can, but or even ask bad faith questions, but don't do it behind people's back. That's tacky. All right, so let's see if the Diamond Brothers say anything of substance.
Balaam, an Orthodox cleric, discovered what the hesychast monks believed and practiced. He attacked their practices and beliefs as absurd and superstitious, and eventually as blasphemous and heretical. Those practices included the alleged entry and departure of the intelligence through the nostrils with the breath, and the shields that gather together round the navel. Balaam said that the monks
Note again here, we don't know what he's quoting from, nor do we know the context.
had claimed to see the divinity with bodily eyes in the form of light.
That has actually been recorded to have been have happened multiple times.
Considered the light to be an uncreated light and therefore God himself. It's interesting that various practitioners
We're back to the Buddha guy and this blue jumpsuit guy.
of yoga also claim to experience a golden light.
Oh, brother. It's just going to get
Practice
stupid.
of pagan yoga, both of which are false. Here are some clips from an Eastern Orthodox priest in which he explains how Barlaam reacted to the practices of the Hesychast monks on Mount
Who is this guy? If anyone can tell me, let me know.
Athos.
Oh, Matt.
He saw some of them using breathing techniques to enhance the rhythm of their prayer. He began to speak with them, to ask them what they thought they were doing. And they explained to him that they were praying the Jesus prayer. He asked them more. They began to tell him more. They began to speak about the uncreated light. What is this uncreated light that you are talking about? Balaam asked. And of course, the monks very innocently shared their experiences with him. And once Balaam understood the essence of what they were doing, he was even more scandalized than he had been initially.
Do you mean the essence or do you mean the energies? Okay.
And here is his critique. And he launched quite an attack on what they were doing. He said the method of prayer that they have, the so-called hesychastic method, the one I just described, with praying and repeating the Jesus prayer seated with the head inclined towards the heart, was simply silly and superstitious at best. He also, when he heard them talking about the uncreated light, heard them talking about a distinction between essence and energies in God. He was horribly scandalized by this. He considered this heretical and superstitious. He identifies the energies completely with the divine essence. He develops a position which is antithetical to hesychasm, hesychasm being the word that we use to describe this whole phenomenon of prayer, way of praying, which we identify not only with St. Gregory Palamas, but we also identify with St. Gregory of Sinai, whom I mentioned, and we identify, in fact, quite simply, with the spiritual practice of the Orthodox Church.
Okay. So basically, that was, I guess you could say, yeah, the Diamond Brothers, unfortunately they're cowards and they will misrepresent Orthodoxy. That was a not even particularly controversial explanation that effectively Barlaam got really, really mad at what they were saying and decided to declare them all heretics. So let's see how they drag this back to yoga or something.
In Orthodox literature, one will find the following quote attributed to Pseudo Simeon. It recommends the hesychast to, quote, rest your beard on your chest and focus your
Pseudo Simeon. Oh, we might have got something useful here.
Your physical gaze, together with the whole of your intellect, upon the center of your belly or your navel, end quote. And here
Note how quickly we've changed to a yoga thing. I do want to look up this Pseudo Simeon. I love when they use pseudos, but all right, so what's this? Pseudo Simeon is the conventional name given to the anonymous author of a late 10th century Byzantine Greek chronicle, which survives in a single codex. Universal history from the creation of the world to 963, up to the years 812. So what he's claiming here, if this is true, then right there, the practice of St. Gregory Palamas in the use of posture and prayer, it predates the Palamite controversy by almost 300 years. So he's wrong there. But we're back to yoga. I can see that from the thing on the top. So
And here's a quote from a yoga journal.
what? No, who cares what the quote from the yoga journal is? This is, let me guess, he's going to put that thing back. Yep, he put it right back. The supposed practice from 300 years ago. So let's see here. Oh, okay. So we've got to Gregory Palamas finally.
Staring at one's navel. Quote, "It is not out of place to teach people, especially beginners, that they should look at themselves and introduce their own mind within themselves through the control of breathing."
Now, note, this has said nothing about the navel. So this is where they're going to skillfully combine these together. The yoga guy, the 10th century pseudo-Simeon guy, and St. Gregory.
And, quote, "How should such a one not gain great profit if, instead of letting his eye roam, he should fix it on his breast or on his navel as a point of concentration?"
Note what he's saying here. He says on his breast or on his navel to keep his eyes from roaming. Now, I'm no great master of prayer here, but I will say that a person who is distracted and looking around cannot concentrate on prayer. There's really nothing wrong with this, but they've already built it up with the yoga guy, with the other quote, and with Callista Swear comparing it to yoga, which is stupid.
He will also, by disposing his body in such a position, recall into the interior of the heart a power which is ever flowing outwards. End quote. According to Palamas, the regulation of breathing, body position, and focusing on oneself recall into the interior a power which is flowing outwards. In his view, the power, which he calls, quote, the divine energy, is flowing outwards from within. This bears a striking resemblance.
Okay, hold on. Let's repeat it because apparently he then was quoting and then he off quoted, which is something
Of breathing, body position, and focusing on oneself recall into the interior a power which is flowing outwards. In his view, the power, which he calls, quote, the divine energy, is flowing outwards from within. This bears a striking resemblance to Eastern paganism.
Yep, there's our yoga guy again.
Try to shepherd that energy for. It's a technique that
more yoga
uplift.
will
stuff.
help us to contain the energy.
Notice
yoga
that this
chick.
energy or power within and the importance of breathing to connect with it.
This mudra, or hand position,
Attacks on the Hesychast monks were very serious. A major controversy erupted within Orthodoxy. This Orthodox priest explains.
Yep.
When Badalaam leveled his charges against the monks, especially the monks of Mount Athos, the charges, because they were very serious, could not be left unanswered. This became an issue in Constantinople in which everyone became involved. They had never had someone from within the church. And so the attack had come,
It
so
never
to
had someone
speak,
from within the church.
within.
Why did he cut that?
So, to defend
Why
hesychasm
did he
and their
cut
views,
that? Hold
the Orthodox
it. Hold it. You see, that's the problem with the Diamond Brothers. They are just dishonest presenters. What is this guy's name again? This priest? Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Okay. St. Gregory Palamas and the Challenge of Barlaam Maxim Lysatic. Give me just one moment. Let me see if I can find that. Uh-huh. So let's go back.
Position was condemned in 1341.
Little tome published in the book called St. Gregory Triads, as mentions, with orthodoxy officially siding with
The monks, especially the monks of Mount Athos. The charges because supporters in Constantinople. And what we discover is that
Well, let's just see.
answers that I just gave to a question, and that is with regard to Balaam and his academic formation and his interest in the fathers. He was, as I mentioned,
Let's take a pause to our investigation. What was Orthodox Ethos streaming about? I don't know. That was today. I just understand that DTC got kicked out. Reed says, you dropped a community post lying about them today, so calm down with the character assassination. What did DTC lie about? Because he's usually good at finding information. Jonathan Britt says, can we get this redude out of here? I'm gonna be honest. If again, I'm all open for going all out. This is partially a come at me, bro stream, but yeah, let's see here. GTC is totally all right, and I think he's big boy. He can defend himself. I even see Christian prayers, including Jesus prayer, being overlaid on top of breathing and meditation. Yeah, that's true. And you'll see like even modern ecumenist and Hindu type people throwing that in to try to rope in Christians. But
earlier, foods, the body. It is to a certain extent the fruit of cooperation. Therefore, to see prayer in humanity. He has beautiful
this is the wrong stream.
Dedicated
I think
the Theotokos.
Yeah, I think this one is incorrect. So. Hold on. Okay. All right. So let me see here. He said that he kicked his link to Father Seraphim's letters out. He doesn't realize that YouTube bans links in comments and streams. There's no utility for OE to hide Father Seraphim's letters, anyways. I'm pretty sure you can include links in streams, and he does have a moderation team. I mean, we could just test that out here. Let me see here. Okay, let me see. If I put in a link to a stream, if I put in a link to, because it was a link to a document. Well, let me see here if I have a nice link. Okay, let's just do this one. All right, so if streams automatically remove links, then this should not work. So that's why he said dishonest or at least ignorant. But is he being ignorant? I mean, I don't know. Is my link gone? Yeah, drop a link. It should. Let's take a look. Let's see. Because you can only add a link if you're a moderator. Okay, that's Reader John points out it could be that you can only add a link if you're a moderator. Maybe. I don't actually know. Let me see here. Adrian Wyatt says the ecumenists treat the Jesus prayer as just a choice of mantra. Correct. That's exactly how they treat it. Magic Sen said Orthodoxy had a stream scheduled to talk about perennialism as the end of ecumenism. I guess you could say kind of the the final result of ecumenism was not. I think we were. I remember your name from the Discord because DGC had mentioned you were cooking in the OE chat. I don't know, but in any case, we still don't know who you are. But welcome to the Come At Me Bro car repair end of month fasting stuff stream. Let's see. The accusations of Barlam and Calabia made against the Hezekiahs as navel gazers. Yes. Okay, so for users, YouTube does automatically yeet links. We did not see your link. Okay, so it is possible that unless you are a moderator, you cannot create links. Once again, this is not just the car repair and end of the month and fasting stuff stream. It is also the Come At Me Bro stream. So if you are ready to come at me, bro, there's a link to the StreamYard because being a moderator, I can do that. Apparently, we have just discovered. Meanwhile, I am going to let me see if I can create the right thingamabobby. Hold on. Okay. Okay. One moment. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I'm glad you guys worked that out. Let me see here. Except for the people on the Gene stream, because those people did actually just like me and want to make nasty comments. But they're welcome here to show up, which they probably will. Oh, shoot. I forgot. The trail mix will attract a Doog. All right, Doug. You have that. Okay. Let's go back to the wonderful
51, this is considered the definitive and final council, and the synodal tomos of that synod is considered the normative statement of Orthodox doctrine. This is why St. Gregory Palamas is now considered in the Orthodox Church not simply as the spokesman for hesychasm, but as expressing the mind of the Church. He is not a father who is peripheral to the Orthodox Church. Rather, he expresses essentially what the Orthodox Church believes.
So, as we can see, in the 14th century, Orthodoxy, quote, dogmatized Palamas's doctrine. To recognize why this is such a serious matter and why it refutes Orthodoxy, we need to understand what Palamas taught. Citations from Palamas's work, The Triads, which we will discuss, can be found in The Triads, edited by Orthodox scholar John Meyendorff and translated by Nicholas Gendel. Palamas taught that in God there is a real distinction between his essence and his energies. The essence, according to Palamas, is absolutely unapproachable and unknowable, and no one will ever see it or commune with it. The energy.
Wait. I wonder where he gets that from. Where does St. Gregory get the idea that the essence of God is completely unapproachable? I mean, was it from a Hindu teacher? Let's find out. Let me see here. Okay. In referring to God, in 1 Timothy 6:16, you see, who only hath immortality, the only immortal one, dwelling in the light which no man can approach unto, whom no man has seen or can see, to whom be power and everlasting. Amen. So, in fact, the idea that the essence of God is unapproachable comes from nothing less than the Holy Bible. Let's continue.
Energies, however, which are not the essence, are how God manifests himself to man, communes with man, transforms man, etc.
That would make sense because, okay, I don't know why we have to have his face there, but yeah, that makes sense because, quite frankly, the energies do interact with man. And this is the great problem of the Roman Catholic traditionalist when he tries to argue that the energies are a distinction. Do we receive the body and blood of Christ at the Eucharist or not? Supposedly, we all believe that, but that should be impossible if God is completely transcendent. But they don't think about that.
Are how God manifests himself to man, communes with man, transforms man, etc. Orthodox Bishop Timothy Ware, quote, Gregory developed the distinction between the essence and the energies of God. He affirmed, no single thing has or ever will have even the slightest communion with the supreme nature. But however remote from us in his essence, yet in his energies he has revealed himself to us, end quote. Even though Palamas emphasized that the essence is not the energies and vice versa, he taught that both are fully God. Concerning the energies, he stated, quote, God is entirely present in each of the divine energies, end quote. Now, if
Oh, you're right. Okay, sorry, I've just read that. I was going through all of these comments and I was literally reading them out. Now I feel like an idiot. No, dog, you don't get any. Fine, I'll give you like a walnut or something. The problem with trail mix and pets is that, frankly, they want the whole thing, but they can only really eat the nuts. So, let me see here. So, a few people are asking for a blessing from Father Mark. Father Mark, just give a blessing to the chat. Unseen Warfare is perhaps the most useful book regarding the practical application of Orthodox dogma. Maybe worth discussing. All of his letters are just what World Orthodox take out of context. I think Rhea is actually agreeing with you, TTC. You're muted. Fixed. I include a moderate defense of Greek calendars based on what I think is a good reading of his ecclesiology, so I'd say so. Okay, sound is back. God bless to all. Got sound back. Yes, I had it off. I was on mute. Okay. I don't know if he does that, but that's totally coincidental. But yeah, I was on mute. The original reason to use the mute was this trail mix. Because now the dog is trying to take it all. I'm getting it. It's mine. You're an animal. No. Okay, so we are now 18 minutes in.
If the energies are God and the essence is God, but the energies are not the essence, a person might think, does this not introduce a division into the Godhead and therefore deny that there's one God?
No,
As John
I mean,
Meyendorff notes, quote, Palamas' adversaries accused him of introducing duality in God. If
they were wrong. His adversaries were wrong. That's the whole point.
the energy is distinct from the essence, are there not two gods? End quote. Palamas denied the accusation that his view divided the Godhead, but the accusation is in fact true, as we will see.
Okay, so he's going to try to prove there's two gods. This should be interesting.
Canon 1 of the Second Council of Constantinople in 553, written against the three chapters, is important to consider. Keep in mind that both Catholics and Eastern Orthodox claim to accept the Second Council of Constantinople, and therefore both claim to consider this canon dogmatic. It declared, quote, if anyone does not confess one nature or essence of Father and Son and Holy Spirit, and one power and authority, a consubstantial trinity to be worshipped as one Godhead in three hypostases or persons, let such a one be anathema. End quote.
Okay.
Note here that the canon dogmatizes a single divine essence, a single divine power and authority, and a consubstantial trinity to be worshipped as a single Godhead in three persons. Connected with this truth about the single divine essence, the Catholic Church teaches that in God himself all things are one except where there is an opposition of relation which exists between the three divine persons of the Trinity. Accordingly, Catholic theologians have explained that the various divine attributes...
Okay, we got snack comments going on in the comments. Let's see here. Okay. Father Seraphim had no issues with the Florence. His issues were some of the Matthewites and the mentality coming from Boston. That's true. What are you eating? I am eating a combination of peanuts and a tropical trail mix, which contains mostly dried cranberries, coconuts, walnuts, most of which have been picked out because of the dog. And so I'm mixing these things and various dried fruits and things. Jonathan Brick says, I've got some B-complex drops from Whole Foods, really helping my energy level so far this fast. I've never tried that, but it could be true. He actually did have some issues with Florida characters. Well, they weren't characters, they were people, and the mindset they often had. Not necessarily a canonical situation. Saying that all he said only applied to Boston is like saying all... Okay. He wrote about Boston applies to all old calendars. Right. Well, you see, he made distinctions. He was a supporter to some degree towards the end of the Callisticism. So, that was one of his own choices. Peter Diamond always resorts to discussing complicated, hard-to-grasp theological topics on orthodoxy like the nature of God, because in-depth debate on a less confusing topic, i.e. the papacy, would end badly. You're probably not wrong. Read what he said about Metropolitan Chrysostomus of Etna when he was still an archimandrite. It's telling, yeah, but he then became friends with Chrysostomus of Etna, even though he disagreed with him, and they got along far better. It's not that simple. It's absurd to accept the Trinity doesn't make three gods while not understanding the essence energy distinction that doesn't create two gods. Yeah, that's absolutely true. B is good, yes. What letter is Re? I forget. I'd use the searchable version of his letters and look up Chrysostomus. Yeah, he had early disagreements with the future Bishop Chrysostomus of Etna. They did get along though towards the end. There was a discussion with Subdeacon Nectarios. I believe it was last week he put out the discussion with Bishop Oxentios. I highly recommend that. They could actually give more of a thing. Good evening. They can actually give more. It gives more background to the discussion. So, if you haven't heard that, I definitely recommend that interview with Bishop Oxentios. All right, let's continue down this. Only 35 minutes to go.
Which we identify in God, such as power, knowledge, justice, love, etc., are in fact identical with the divine essence and with one another. As human beings, we distinguish between God's attributes, such as between his love and his power, because in our created intellects, we think composite thoughts, and we can only consider aspects of God's infinite essence through a multiplicity of concepts. and by reasoning from one thing to another. But in God, the attributes are identical with the essence and with one another. That's why Scripture says that God is love, 1 John 4:8. God's divine attribute of love is in fact identical with the divine essence. Likewise, Jesus says, I am the truth, John 14:6.
Hold on.
His attribute of truth.
There are new people in the chat. Adding to stage. Good evening, Carl and Reader John. How are you doing?
Doing well, Father.
Father bless.
Well, may God bless you. Okay, so we're doing, I guess, a watch party for probably one of the worst attempts at an apologetics video against orthodoxy. But did anyone here have a comment, question? Want to come at me, bro? Or
I wanted to bring up one thing quickly. I don't want to derail you, but it's related to the Diamond Brothers.
no, please.
There's a guy that they have a lot of history with. I'm not sure if you've heard of him, but I think his name is Richard Ibrani, something like that. But he's a Jewish guy, or ethnically, racially Jewish, but became Catholic, and now he's like a home aloner SETI who's got his own group somewhere out west, like in Arizona or New Mexico, I think. And he's one of those people, one of the few people that they're really scared to go after, and they don't like bringing him up. The Diamonds, I mean. But he's got some really interesting theories that if you haven't read any of his stuff or heard about him, you might be willing to look into, because it sort of parallels your critique of the Hildebrandian Revolution. I can't remember exactly. It's been a long time since I've read it, but he's done a lot of research, and his people have, on problems in the Western Church around that time, if not a little bit before, maybe even 100 years before. But they've got a lot of stuff on their website, so I'm sure if you look up his name, you'll find all that. But have you ever heard of him?
I've heard of him, but I don't know exactly who he is, to be quite honest. Hold on one moment.
Yeah, that's basically all I had, Father. I just wanted to bring that up and throw that in there, and maybe at some point you might be aware of it, and it might be helpful to you.
No problem. I appreciate it. Well, thanks, girl. If you want to stick around, you can, or if you want, I'm gonna keep on.
Yeah, I got to jump out, but thank you for the stream. Thank you.
Have a good night. Okay. Let me think here. Give me one moment. I'm also getting messages in the Discord, so I'm trying to reach everybody at once.
Are they known for cherry picking?
Come again?
Aren't the Diamond Brothers known for cherry picking stuff that just
yeah? I mean, we could see even in this video.
Mm-hmm.
They'll take a few words of something, they'll mix it with a quotation from someone else, and they'll mix it with, in this case, various yoga teachers. I mean, they're not really honest. So, yeah.
So that sounds like they're taken from like the ecumenist handbook. Cherry pick a couple fathers, twist it a little bit.
Hold on. Okay. Let me see here. We've got some more comments here. Your paper already sounds like it's not going to be balanced. Okay. Have any synods outside the Matthewites glorified Bishop Matthew? Not to my knowledge. I don't know if you're familiar with Antioch in the 20th century. I think some of us are, yes.
Not good.
Yeah. I guess you're talking about Father Paul Baba. I would like to see the full context of the conversation where Father Seraphim told him not to leave Antioch. Since none of us had heard of it, I've never heard of it until long after the repose of Father Seraphim. I have no idea. Asked Father Paul. Antioch at that point were already in the new calendar. Maybe, I know that the dioceses weren't reunited until 1969. So that's I don't think that that's automatically true.
When was Antioch bribed to go to the new calendar? When was that?
Well, the Antioch itself switched to the new calendar in 1946. But by 1946, there were already two warring factions of Antiochians in the United States.
Yeah.
And so some of them were known as the almost like Syro-Russian, because they had been Russified.
Mm-hmm.
But give me a moment. Okay. Let me see here. And so basically, I guess we'll go back to this. If it seems like I'm really not enjoying the Diamond Brothers video, it's because it's a terrible video. But anyway, we'll continue.
Is identical with the divine essence. God is the truth. Similarly, in the third letter of Cyril to Nestorius, which is often associated with what was accepted by the Council of Ephesus, it says that God is life, and that God the Spirit is wisdom and power. The divine attributes are identical with the divine essence. If, besides the real distinction that exists between the three divine persons in the Trinity, one were to posit a real distinction in God himself between essence and attributes, or as the Eastern Orthodox do, between essence and energies, one would be positing a distinct divinity, and that denies...
Yeah, but that argument would imply that if you apply that distinction, just as you said, between the three persons of the Trinity...
it's the truth that there is one God. In this video, we will show that Eastern Orthodoxy's principles result in heresy. Hence, the divine attributes are, in God himself, really identical with the divine essence and with one another. Now, it should be noted that even though in God himself the divine attributes are identical with the divine essence and with one another, this does not mean that the various names or attributes applied to God in Holy Scripture or by men, such as good or powerful, are all synonymous, meaningless, or merely a logical/mental distinction. No, the divine essence, God, is an...
Well, this is awful. Okay, I'm taking a moment to break here. Let me see here. Yeah, that's a question. A couple of people have asked me. I assumed you were in the GOC, correct? Because some people thought you might be in Rocor MP.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I was in Rocor MP. Currently in search of a synod in the GOC.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was given advice by a bishop to pray for a while and sort things out and learn the history a little bit more.
Well, you're always welcome with us as long as you want. So,
okay, yeah, that's fine.
All right, let's see here. What else we got? There are claims of false conversions from Babylonian Talmudic Judaism to other religions, including Christianity, with a view to a takeover, ultimately arguably successful in the case of Romanism. I don't know if Roman collapse is due to Jewish takeover. That would strike me as a real difficult thing to prove. Dimitri writes, the last true Hildebrandian yeah. No, the whole thing is awful. It is awful, but we're masochists, so we're going to keep going.
You know what intrigues me, though?
What?
Theologically speaking. So they're traditional Catholics, right?
Supposedly.
Wouldn't they not read the theology of, what's his name? Benedict XVI? Or Joseph Ratzinger?
Yeah, I think they consider, like, even John Paul and all the way, I think they consider them all heretics.
Oh, okay. So are they sedevacantists then?
Sometimes. Like, it just depends. They seem
so they're even wishy-washy about their own theology. Because the point I was going to make is Ratzinger actually supports the Orthodox and their views of...
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Well, bless their hearts then.
Okay. Well, I was wrong. I was wrong. I made a mistake. I did not know. I thought he was with the GOCK. Okay. People in the Discord are like, you see? Okay, so let's see. I think John Paul is the Antichrist. Their Antichrist. Yeah, I'm sure he is. And it wouldn't surprise me either way. Oh no, I returned to the Trailer Park Brothers. Yeah, unfortunately, that's the most holy Trailer Park monastery.
I guess
Father, would you debate them? How can you? They won't debate anyone unless they can ambush them. That we left messages. That you have the video of me trying to call them. They don't like that. I mean, I'd be glad to. Okay, no, they literally state that he was the Antichrist. Okay, but he's dead. So are they now like are they preterists then? What? Weird, very weird.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure them out.
Yeah,
they're so wishy-washy. It's hard to put a finger on them.
No, yeah, their theology it's all capricious. Wow, what a mess! All right, let's continue with these capricious video makers with 34 minutes to go.
Infinite wealth of perfection. Our finite minds cannot attempt to think about this depth and wealth in one concept, so we use many. St. Thomas Aquinas, quote, although the names applied to God signify one thing, that is the divine essence, still because they signify that thing under many and different aspects, they are not synonymous. He also says, the perfect unity of God requires that what are manifold and divided in others should exist in him simply and unitedly. Thus it comes about that he is one in reality and yet multiple in idea, because our intellect apprehends him in a manifold manner as things represent him, end quote. He also says that the names we use to signify the divine essence do not signify it in a full or perfect way. The distinction that we make between God's various divine attributes is not merely logical but termed virtual, since it has a factual basis in the infinite fullness of God, even though each attribute is in God really the same thing, that is, the divine essence, without any real division or distinction. There is one power and authority of Father.
We've gone back. We just went from Aquinas back to the Second Council of Constantinople. Aquinas is explaining the different names that one could apply to God and the different attributes of God, all representing the essence. But this has nothing to do with the energies.
Son and Holy Spirit, as the Second Council of Constantinople declared. The divinity is not divided. But Gregory Palamas says that in God there is the essence and something different from it called the energies. Now, there are many problems, contradictions, and blasphemies in Gregory Palamas' teaching on this issue. Let's first quote Palamas declaring that the essence is different from the energies. Keep in mind that his teaching on this matter is the official teaching of Eastern Orthodoxy.
Also keep in mind that, as the Diamond Brothers noted earlier, if you apply this distinction to Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, it could also lead to tritheism.
Palamas says, quote, the superessential essence of God is thus not to be identified with the energies, even with those without beginning, end quote. As we can see, Palamas taught that the essence of God is one thing and that the energies are a different thing, but that both are uncreated and therefore God. He says, quote, essence and energy are thus not totally identical in God, even though he is entirely manifest in every energy, end quote. Palamas sometimes describes the uncreated energies as the uncreated light, or as the rays of light that proceed from the essence, even though they are not the divine essence. The quote, uncreated light, that is, the divine energies which are not the essence, is what the Hesychast claimed to see. Quote, the rays are consequently visible.
Notice how they switched that to like navel gazing? Like they purposely chose that one just to get the just to get like the viewer like the navel gazing,
to see. Quote, the rays are consequently visible to those worthy, although the divine essence is absolutely invisible. And these unoriginate and endless rays are light without beginning or end. There exists then an eternal light other than the divine essence, end quote. According to Palamas, these energies are an eternal light that is different from, other than, in his words, the divine essence. Palamas teaches that all three persons of the Trinity are present in both the essence and the energies, even though the essence is not the energies. Quote, God is entirely present in each of the divine energies. And, quote, the light, that is, the divine energy, was not a simulacrum of divinity, but truly the light of the true divinity, not only the divinity of the Son, but that of the Father and the Spirit too, end quote. Now, the opposition between Christian dogma on the unity of the Godhead and Palamas's position should be apparent, but watch this. Palamas not only distinguishes between the essence and the energies, but he actually teaches that the essence transcends and surpasses the energies. Palamas, quote, his essence, which exceeds even his uncreated energies, since this essence transcends all affirmation and all negation, end quote. This is flat-out heresy and blasphemy. Palamas has introduced a separate, quote, God, who he admits is exceeded by the divine essence.
It's not a second God.
Oh my
it's
goodness.
always this stupid, like
he's trying to create a dichotomy where there's not.
Right.
You can't separate the energies from the essence.
And this is, but the thing is, he won't. And then
I know he's
he'll
trying to
consistently apply it to the Trinity and not the essence and energies.
You know where he's heading, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Beatific vision. That's what he wants to get to.
Yes. Let me see here. They refuse to debate in a live show format with other apologists. They have, including us. The only one they did was with Jeff Kassman. Still don't know who that is. Yes, they claim that we're living past the rule of Antichrist and everything in 2031 will end or something. Well, I'm sure that makes Klaus Schwab happy, which was very entertaining. The whole argument rests on the idea that the Antichrist sitting in the temple of God means St. Peter's. Okay, that would contradict every Orthodox prophecy of the end. I tried quoting St. Ephraim the Syrian to a Diamondite before, and he told me the fathers often got things wrong, but the Diamond brothers don't. Only Diamond Brother debate I've seen was against the Novus Ordo guy, and he trashed him, not really saying much. And they told me that John of Damascus taught heresy, but is okay anyway. These people are sick. It's the official teaching of EO, but wait, I thought EO had no way to define official teaching. Yeah, that's true. They can't get there. So there's a distinction between essence and energy in humans. There must be two father. Well, what does that even mean? Like, God has essence and energy. I mean, I don't think that I have essence and energy. I'm a person. I mean, I have a living soul. And I have energy that way, but I don't think I'm really learn. I don't get that one. Okay. Oh, hey, what wants to become a new member? Okay, cool. All right. Even I can't hate this garbage, or I might have to actually come at you. God bless you all. We must suffer through it. I hope you come back soon, Father.
It's Lent. It's Lent. We got to suffer through.
This is part of the Lent. Big word suffering here. There you go.
Palamas also says, quote, but the divine essence that transcends all names also surpasses energy to the extent that the subject of an action surpasses its object, end quote. Here again, he teaches that the divine essence, in which God is fully present, transcends and surpasses the, quote, uncreated energy, in which
is also fully present.
According to him, God is also fully present.
Mm-hmm.
This is to introduce a separate, quote, God, namely the energies, which he openly declares
incorrect.
Surpassed by the other one. It is to introduce and worship a false God. Does one need more proof that Eastern Orthodoxy worships a false God when Palamas teaches that the, quote, uncreated energy is exceeded and surpassed by the divine essence?
Yes, because, again, the essence is unknowable. The energies are knowable. That's by complete divine intent. So, yes, we do need more proof than that because you're just making stuff up.
Yet they still consider it to be God? It gets even worse. The heretic Gregory Palamas even says that the divine essence transcends the energies to an infinite degree. Quote, the superessential essence of God is thus not to be identified with the energies, even with those without beginning, from which it follows that it, that is the essence, is not only transcendent to any energy whatsoever, but that it transcends them to an infinite degree and an infinite number of times.
And that's why the scripture says God dwells in unapproachable light.
Father, I have a question.
Yeah.
Mainly because I don't have a computer in front of me. When did the Roman Catholics canonize Gregory Palamas? Because he might be defeating his own argument if he's calling him a heretic.
They just kind of added him on ad hoc when they did the unions of Uzerod and Brest, and I would assume with the Melkites, somewhere along the line,
which would be way before his Sedevacantis period, correct?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Definitely.
So yet he's calling them a heretic when that's part of his own theology. This is fun.
Keep in mind, the problem is that if we deal with Roman Catholicism in its reality, they commemorate Nestorius. So
fair enough.
It's okay. It was no joke. To teach a God without activity, and that's one that does not exist. Cool. I get a blue star and a green name. I don't know what else the membership does. Pizza red star. Greek Melkites have them. However, they'll claim that's not an official canonization. Okay, well.
I was
point
talking
is-
more about the Romans, not the.
No, he's not in the
yeah.
Roman calendar. He's definitely not. He's only in Eastern calendars.
Oh, really? But what about Saint Maximus?
St. Maximus, I believe, might be in the Roman calendar.
Because he talks about energies and essence as well.
Yeah,
right?
as well. Yeah, no, but there's a lot of Latin fathers who talk about energy.
He resided in Rome for a time.
Here. Okay, I'm now afraid for the wiring of my house. It's a long story. I'm just getting a message. Let me see here. Okay. All right, let's get through this. We've got 19 minutes, 29 minutes to go.
Can you speed it up?
This is Eastern
Oh yeah,
Orthodox.
I can do that. Wait.
Because he sounds like he's really slow already.
Yeah, but then he becomes like Alvin and the Chipmunks. Like he becomes really hard to understand.
Theology, folks. It is complete and total heresy. It is polytheism. It denies that there is one God by introducing a division into the Godhead between the essence and the energies, and even by teaching that the energies are transcended by the essence to an infinite degree.
Relax.
Obviously, the essence and the energies
downstairs.
cannot be one and the same God when one exceeds and surpasses the other, and transcends it to an infinite degree. Now, an Eastern Orthodox heretic has attempted to defend Palamas' heretical position by arguing that such a distinction in God himself between essence and energies doesn't contradict the unity of God, because there are distinctions between the three persons in God, and they don't contradict the unity of God. That argument is totally fallacious. First, Palamas is not talking about a distinction between the divine persons of the Trinity when he talks about essence versus energies. In Eastern Orthodox theology, the energies belong to the divine essence, even though the energies are not the divine essence. As we've seen, Palamas teaches that the energies are the uncreated divinity of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. He teaches that this, quote, uncreated divinity of the energies is surpassed by the uncreated divinity of the essence. That is to introduce two different uncreated divinities, one of which exceeds the other, and that is heretical. There is only one divinity. There is only one God. Second, even if
that's a terrible argument, because obviously the essence is going to be less constrained than the energies, because it operates within the energies operate within defined spaces. They operate within creation.
He's assuming a distinction is a dichotomy. It's not. Yeah. Distinction is for our own human understanding, our language.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Gosh. Do they still also Diamonds commune in an Eastern Catholic Church? I kid you not. I would not be surprised. So, Voice of Reason guy saying, Voice of Reason, which one is he? Reads that reason in theology, saying Nestorius was not Nestorian. Also, he has a Theotokos level patron thing on his Patreon. Wow. I thought me asking for help with my car was grifty. I would never say like, "Oh, you have the Theotokos ranking if you donate this much money." Voice of Reason guy is even less impressive than Locke. Is that the guy with the deep voice? Yeah, cringe. Okay, so let me see here. All right, how many of you want me to keep going with this awful video? If I get a bunch of people, if I get 5 more people who say get rid of this video, we'll go look for something else. So, all right. So let's go.
If Palamas were talking about a distinction between persons, which he wasn't, his teaching would still be totally heretical, for there is no fourth person in God called the divine energies, and he teaches that the divinity of the energies is exceeded by the divinity of the essence. It's contrary to Christian dogma to say that the divinity of one person of the Trinity exceeds the divinity of another person of the Trinity. They have the exact same divinity. So there is absolutely no way to square Palamas' blasphemous teaching with the Christian faith. As the Athanasian Creed says, quote, in this Trinity there is nothing first or later, nothing greater or less, but all three persons are co-eternal and co-equal with one another, so that
and no one is saying otherwise. Now you're confusing persons with essence versus
in every respect, both unity in Trinity
exactly
and
what he says he's not doing.
Trinity in unity must be worshipped, end quote. But there is so much more to expose the heresy of Eastern Orthodoxy and Gregory Palamas on this matter. We need to consider it with regard to the immutability of God. In the triads, Palamas refers to the uncreated and
This is bad. Let me see. Yes, get rid of this video. Okay, we have 2 votes, and they're from priests, so I'm going to double vote them. One more person says get rid of it. I'm getting rid of it.
I third it.
Okay, we got the third person, which counts as the fifth person because priest got 2 votes. Get the Diamond Brothers off. Okay, let's see. Okay, so somebody stop sharing here while I look for. Okay, what about the Rocky guy? Let's see. Is that worth watching? Okay, now there's lots of them. Get rid of. Dump it. Get rid of video. Okay, it's gone now. It's gone. It's gone, people. All right, so I'm gonna see now. What's this Rocky voice of reason? Or does anyone want me to actually do this? Because I'm probably gonna make jokes. Not good jokes either. All right. Okay, did they ever do anything about Orthodox? The worst Muslim argument.
Oh, that one. I don't know if they've done.
Oh,
I don't know if they've done Orthodox.
No, I thought he did. Let me see.
Is that the real
get
cringy
the voice
sounding
of
guy?
reason guy on and see what we find. Okay, wow, he's got a real deep voice. All right, so let me see. I'm going to type in voice of reason Catholic Orthodox and see what I find. Is the Orthodox Church more consistent than the Catholic Church? Catholic versus Orthodox Easter, which is, you know what, that's right up my alley, and it's only 16 minutes. Let's go. Yes, he has bad anti-Orthodox arguments, but that's his whole grift. A lot of his shorts are responding to Orthodox stuff. Well, this one is 16 minutes long. Let's see if he's got any good arguments against the Orthodox Pascha. We share. Boom, boom, boom.
Oh, good chase of music.
I need an intro.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. You are listening to The Voice of Reason. And on today's episode, I wanted to touch on a topic that a lot of people on TikTok have been asking me about, and that has to do with the date of Easter. People are saying that we celebrate Christmas on the 25th of December every single year, but why does the date of Easter always change? This is something that I actually really like discussing and talking about, because it also leads into things that I find interesting, such as the calendars of the church. And also, I want to talk about why there is a difference of a week between the Roman Catholic Church and the Orthodox churches in the celebration of Easter. So let us begin. It's important to understand that.
Okay, first off, I am doing that at high speed. So here's how he actually sounds. Sorry about that.
The difference in the dates of the celebration of Easter actually goes back to the very beginning of the church. What a lot of people don't know is that the apostles themselves actually commemorated the yearly celebration of the new Passover on different dates. It appears that of the 12 apostles, and 13 if you count the apostle Paul, not all of them actually observed the same Jewish calendars. What a lot of people don't know is that even the Jews themselves had different calendars in which they celebrated the Jewish feasts. So the Pharisees and the Sadducees had different calendars, and the apostles themselves, depending on which group of Jews that they were evangelizing or who they were writing to in their writings, they would actually appeal to the different calendars of the different Jewish groups that were being written to. And really, there was only 2 different calendars amongst the Jewish community. This is why some people mistakenly believe that there is a contradiction in the Gospels, because the Synoptic Gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, say that Jesus was crucified on the Passover day, but the Gospel according to John says that the day before, Holy Thursday, the day of the Last Supper, was the Passover day itself. So people mistakenly believe that this is an error or a contradiction, but it's actually not true. Turns out that the Jews in the time of Jesus actually held to different liturgical calendars. And when you actually look back at the years in which Jesus lived, you can see that in the year 30 AD and in the year 33 AD, the Passover fell on a Friday, both of those years, but the Sadducees actually observed the Passover the next day, which was the Sabbath day. So in the early church, there was a difference between the Christians in the West that celebrated Easter on one day and the Christians in the East that celebrated Easter on a different day. The Christians in the West would always celebrate Easter on a Sunday, and the Christians in the East would actually always celebrate Easter on the 14th of Nisan, which is the date of the Passover for the Jews. And there was actually a controversy in the 2nd century where the Pope, the Bishop of Rome, was actually going to excommunicate all of the Christians in the East because they refused to celebrate the new Passover, what we now call Easter in the English-speaking world. These Christians were celebrating the Passover on whichever day the 14th of Nisan fell on, and the Pope thought that the universal church should all celebrate Easter together. So the Pope was going to excommunicate the Eastern Christians, though it was actually, I believe, St. Irenaeus that talked to the Pope and said, hey, no, don't excommunicate them. Just let them continue on with their traditions because they were taught by the apostles who used that calendar. And it actually wasn't until the 4th century when all of the Christians universally agreed upon a fixed day to celebrate the date of Easter. And that leads us to the discussion on the calendars that were being used by the church. You see, the Christians for the first 4 centuries were using the different Jewish calendars depending on if they were Western Christians or Eastern Christians. And it was at the First Ecumenical Council of Nicaea in the year 325 when all of the bishops of the world got together and they decided on when the Easter should be celebrated universally. And the formula that they gave us at the Council of Nicaea is the same formula that all Christians use to this day. And the formula is this: Easter will always fall on the first Sunday after the first full moon that is after or on the first day of spring, or what is known as the spring equinox. So the first day of spring, the first full moon, which is either on that day or whenever it happens after that day, and Easter will always be on the immediate Sunday after that first full moon happens. So what that means is that Easter can be as early as March 22nd or as late as April 25th. Easter will always fall within that time period, March 22nd and April 25th. So this is the formula that all Christians, East and West, use so that they could all universally celebrate Easter on the same day. But because the Christians of the East and the West use different Jewish calendars,
that's where the confusion sets in. The reason this happens because he says he lies. Papists can celebrate with the Jews on occasion. That was condemned. His Wikipedia research needs to do better. Technically, the formula that he's describing is correct, but assumes a Julian reckoning. So, for example, today on the Gregorian calendar is March 26th, whereas on the Julian calendar, the church calendar, it's actually March 13th. Mm-hmm. So this will affect all the other calculations as to when the first calendar month, etc. So that's why it comes out that way. But with the Gregorian reform, yes, it pushed things forward, which therefore leads to sometimes papists celebrating Passover with the Jews, which is exactly what the fathers of Nicaea were trying to avoid.
The Council of Nicaea, they decided that they would actually use the...
I was just going to say, isn't that why, because of the Julian reckoning, why we could also have it on Gregorian in May?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Secular calendar, that is the Roman calendar, to start commemorating all of their feast days. So the Jewish calendar is based off of lunar days, and the Roman calendar, which is the calendar that we pretty much use in 99% of the world, is a solar calendar based off of solar days. And the science of putting together a calendar has to do with calculating the exact precise amount of time that it takes for planet Earth to do one full rotation around the sun. We know now that it's about 365 days, and more precisely 300.
I'm like really horrible in thinking this, but wouldn't it be funny if that was just a voice changer and his actual voice was like, the calendar, and he puts it through and it comes out like this?
I'm kind of wondering.
65.
Like it doesn't, the voice doesn't match.
That or you really need to be a Russian deacon or something.
Yeah, I know. Oh, yeah.
0.2422 days. So all calendars in history have tried to pinpoint this exact time and make the calendar according to that time frame. And the reason that it's important for the calendar to be precise is because they need to know when the seasons happen, because they need to know when to plant in order to have harvests. So the entire point of calendars is to know when the harvest will happen, and so that all of the people can be on the same page or the same calendar, so to speak, in knowing when to commemorate what needs to be commemorated. Calendars are very useful tools for this. Jonathan. So the very first Roman calendar actually was put together in the 8th century BC. And that calendar consisted of 10 months and about 304 days. Those 10 months were the months of March, April, May, June, Quintilis, Sextilis, September, October, November, and December. So those 10 months totaled up to 304 days, meaning that they still had about 61 days left over. So that calendar wasn't very accurate, which is why after a few years it was changed and it was modified. It added 2 more months. After December, it added the months of January and February. And then every 2 or 3 years, they would have to add a 13 month for the leap year. And every time that there would be a leap year, the year would have about 370 days. That calendar was a lot more precise than the previous calendar that only had 304 days. And even though the second calendar was a lot more precise, it still had a shortfall of about 11 days. And year by year, those 11 days would eventually add up and it would start shifting the seasons, which again is no good because you need to be exact so that you know when the harvest would happen. So the next change in the Roman calendar happened in about the year 45 BC with Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar updated the Roman calendar and it became known as the Julian calendar. The Julian calendar actually shortened all of the months and it got rid of the 13th month that would be added every 2 to 3 years. By shortening the days in each month, they no longer had to have that extra 13th month, and all they had to do was every few years add 1 or 2 days on a leap year to keep the calendar adjusted. So this new Julian calendar was promulgated across the entire Roman Empire by Caesar Augustus, just a few years before the birth of Christ. This Julian calendar had the 12 months that we have now, and it was March, April, May, and June. By the way, those 4 months are named after the pagan Roman gods. But Augustus replaced the month of Quintilis with July in honor of Julius Caesar, and the month of Sextilis with August in honor of himself. And then we had September, October, November, December, January, and February. So this is the 12-month calendar with a few days added every leap year to keep the calendar in line with the 4 seasons. Now, this calendar was the most accurate solar calendar that had ever been put together. It was so accurate, it only had a shortfall of about 11 minutes. The previous calendar had a shortfall of 11 days. Now, 11 minutes doesn't seem like it makes much of a difference, but year after year, decade after decade, century after century, it would eventually make a big difference and the calendar would then have to be adjusted again. It wasn't until the 16th century that this calendar finally had to be adjusted. In the 1500s is when all of the people started noticing that the calendar was no longer in sync with the season. Those 11 minutes had added up and made a significant noticeable difference to the people. So in the year 1582, it was the Pope Gregory XIII, who promulgated a change in the Julian calendar. Now, the Julian calendar actually remained the same. The only difference is that they started calculating and adding up the leap years in different ways. This simple change in handling the leap years led to what is now known as the Gregorian calendar, which is the most accurate solar calendar that we use to this day. It is so accurate that the shortfall of the Julian calendar was about 11 minutes, and the shortfall of the current calendar that we have is 27 seconds. We are 27 seconds away from having a perfect calendar, and it's the calendar that we still use to this very day. By the way, the geniuses that put together this calendar were Catholic monks. The calendar that we use in 99% of the world was put together by Catholic monks and promulgated by the Pope. It was the...
Oh, this is dopey. I mean, he's talking about like the calendar technology and like, all the people were like freaking out because on March 1st, supposedly, like, the moon was slightly off. I mean, I just find this amazingly unbelievable. I'm going to assume that I will continue listening and he will point out that the Orthodox and the Protestants, because of their darkened senses, did not. Because I mean, he's really hyping up the Gregorian calendar like it was just like the best thing since sliced bread. So
He needs
The
to throw
Catholic
it.
monks back in the Middle Ages in the 16th century, they were able to put together a calendar that would only give us a shortfall of 27 seconds every single year. Geniuses. But now here's where it gets really interesting. When the changes were made to the Julian calendar, in order to transition to the new and improved Gregorian calendar, what was going to have to happen is that they were going to have to move the date up 10 days. And this happened in the year 1582 in the month of October. On October 4th, 1582, everybody in Western Europe went to bed. And when they woke up the next morning, it was October 15th, 1582. They had to move up 10 days in order to make the appropriate adjustments to implement the new Gregorian calendar. But here is the problem. Because it was the Catholic Pope that implemented this calendar in Western Europe, the Christians of Eastern Europe did not want to follow suit. They didn't want to make it seem like the Eastern churches were following the Pope of Rome. So they just ignored it. So in Western Europe and in Eastern Europe, they had different calendars with a 10-day difference. Now, this difference wasn't just between Western Europe and Eastern Europe. Remember that at this time, there were a lot of Protestants in Western Europe as well. And guess what? Just like the Eastern Orthodox didn't want to accept the new calendar because it came from the Catholic Pope, the Protestants didn't want to accept the new calendar because it came from the Catholic Pope. So the Protestant states in Western Europe rejected the Gregorian calendar and maintained the Julian calendar. So now Western Europe was divided and they used two different calendars, the brand new and much more accurate Gregorian calendar that the Catholics used, and the outdated, no pun intended, Julian calendar that the Protestants maintained, just because they didn't want to look like they were following the Pope of Rome either. But what this then led to was a huge problem with, again, the months, because the whole reason that the Catholic Church switched.
Okay, comments here. I will note, I did want to double check this. We're talking about the bread slicer in 1928. I find it very difficult to believe that there was no sliced bread before that. People have been slicing bread with a knife for centuries. They didn't just hand people a loaf and say, here you go. I mean, well, they did for monks, but St. Bede wrote that we must keep the feasts and fasts of the church, but note the difference with solar time for the planting and harvesting of crops. I wonder if I should read that book. It looked interesting, by St. Bede. Google said so. Yeah, well, Google, how many slices of bread is Google sliced? Huh? How's that? Think about that for a second. All right. Until you show me Google slicing bread, I don't care about Google's opinion. I sliced a lot of bread. I sliced the best bread. All right. Hold on. Let's get back to this guy. All right. He's got the best stuff, the best calendar.
To the Gregorian calendar is because they could notice the difference in the seasons, and it was messing with the date of Easter. The Protestants and the Eastern Orthodox as well had no choice but to eventually switch to the Gregorian calendar as well. With every passing year and with every passing decade, it was becoming more and more of an issue. So eventually, everyone.
It wasn't I like how he's implying it's because of the Roman Catholic, the Orthodox and Protestants were having seasonal problems. It was because of commerce. Because of commerce, doing trade with Roman Catholic countries. That's what caused it.
Had to switch to the Gregorian calendar. So the Catholic Church was right. But anyway, this now takes us back to what I had.
This is terrible. Okay. Ree says, good night all. Google AI robot slicing bread, Boston Dynamic. Okay, the point I'm trying to make here is that people sliced bread before there was a bread slicer.
Google uses AI, and AI, quote unquote, hallucinates.
The nuts are over there if you. Okay. Anyway.
Just throwing that there.
Yeah, I mean, we could argue that. Let me see here.
Bread slicer just seems anachronistic, too.
Yeah. Okay, so let me see here.
I think the toaster came first.
Well, technically, that they've had. Bruschetta has been around for a very long time. Let me just see here, because I'm pretty sure that. Let me see, bruschetta. I wonder if that came with I doubt that came with the toaster because they were grilling that.
They've had sandwiches.
That dates back to ancient Rome, where people would slice bread, put tomato yeah, they would grill it. So yeah, even that is not new.
Yeah, that I was about to say I've been to like Italy and Greece, and this stuff's been around a way long time. Now, if you go to different parts of Italy, some people have salt and some don't. And that goes way back to the Salt Wars.
Let me just see here. Oh, hold on. Somebody's asking me about Pope Felix II, or anti-Pope Felix II, or Felix II. I'm not sure. Let me see here. Uh-huh.
Oh, did you ever watch the was it on Netflix?
Which one?
The series on the Borgias?
No. I heard of a series on the Borgias that was on HBO, but from what I understood was, vile.
Oh, it was HBO, yeah. Yeah, it was disgusting.
Vile pornography.
Yeah, pretty much. But I was wondering, like, how much of the historical stuff was true.
Oh, let me just see here. Okay, so let's see here. We got 3 minutes to go on this, guy. So
I mentioned before about the formula that was given to the Christian church at the Council of Nicaea. That is that the date of Easter would always fall on the first Sunday after the first full moon of the spring equinox. So the Protestants switched over to the Gregorian calendar, not just secularly, not just civilly, but also liturgically. So that's why Catholics and Protestants celebrate Easter on the same day. But there's still a difference of a week between the Western Christians and the Eastern Christians. And that is because when Eastern Europe and everything to the east of that switched over to the Gregorian calendar, they only switched over to that calendar for civic life, civilly. The church in Eastern Europe actually maintained the Julian calendar liturgically. So like I just explained, in Western Europe in October of 1582, they had to bump up the date 10 days. Now, eventually, the rest of the world adopted the Gregorian calendar, but liturgically, the Eastern churches maintained the Julian calendar, and that 10-day difference is reflected in it. So now, when they calculate the date of Easter on the Gregorian calendar versus the Julian calendar that the Eastern Orthodox still use, there is a difference of 1 week. That is why the Catholic Church celebrates Easter on one Sunday, and the Eastern Orthodox Church will celebrate it the following Sunday, because they are still using the Julian calendar for the liturgical feast. So there was a...
And this is a great time to point out that, in fact, it is not 1 week difference. Where our Pascha is like 5 weeks ahead. They're having it this week, and we're having it at the end of next month. The beginning of May. So this is ridiculous. He's just so wrong here.
Controversy over the date of Easter in the early church that was solved in the 4th century at the Council of Nicaea. But then when the calendars had to change, it resulted in now a new controversy over the date of Easter between the Western Church and the Eastern Church. And the reason that this difference exists is really because the Eastern Church didn't want to follow something that was promulgated by the Pope of Rome. So that is how the date of Easter is calculated. Remember that it is always on the first Sunday after the first full moon of spring. The difference between the Catholic Church and the Orthodox Church in the dates of celebrating Easter is because the Catholic Church uses the Gregorian calendar liturgically, and the Eastern Orthodox Church still uses the Julian calendar liturgically. And now you know how the science of calendars works, and I hope that you really enjoyed this video. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe.
Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, I feel like I lost some IQ points there.
Yeah,
I feel a little dumber having watched that.
I just love how he frames it. Like, it's the accuracy of the seasons. I was like, that's what we hear from Ecumenists.
Super accurate monks created this amazing technological innovation.
That's the same crap we hear from Ecumenists.
Yeah.
The fact is that the church was on the Julian calendar, and they remained on the Julian calendar until what century?
Yeah, until who the
some of us are still on it.
Yeah. And if you think, I mean, even George Washington's birthday was on the Julian calendar, so even recently in England, a couple of 100 years. But let me see here. All right, so we've got that taken care of. Again, to reiterate, this is the car repair end of month fasting stuff. Come at me, bro. Stream. In other words, basically, we're trying to get the money together so that I can get my car fixed. It turned out it's going to be just under 700, so that's useful. It is also the end of the month. We're going on. We will, of course, be doing our Sunday stream, but the point is, whatever you can do to help with expenses, please do. Also, we've seen an uptick in questions about the fast and fasting, whether you want to talk about the fast itself, prayers during the fast, or you'd like to talk about recipes. I am here for that discussion. And finally, this is a Come At Me Bro stream where I think that Ree and DTC now get along. So that's what we're here for people to come at me, bro. And in any case, if anyone has any questions, comments, or wants to join the stream, do battle, etc., of course they can do that. And I'm putting that link up one more time. We can review things. I am your monkey today, so let's see here. Otherwise, I'm gonna go to another trail mix break and grab some more trail mix.
If anybody needs any more clarifications about me.
Yeah, or if you have any clarifications for Reader John.
I still want to know how people thought I was in the GOCK.
That's my fault. I thought you were in the GOCK.
Oh, sorry.
See, that mystery solved. Anyway, give me 1 second. I'm just going to quickly mute.
Yeah, I'm trying to assess my options. I'm learning the history. It's been hidden from me when I was in World Orthodoxy. So. Pardon me, everyone. I'm going to step away and get a glass of water while he's getting his trail mix.
All right, we're back, and I've got more.
I got some water while you're getting
Okay, good. Well.
Oh, are you muted again?
Okay, again, if you're just joining us now, I think everyone can see the title of what the stream's about. People, if you have any questions, comments, or if there are folks that are nervous or people who want to challenge true orthodoxy on various things, or just have questions about fasting, or just want to say this is just the worst stream they've ever seen, please feel free. I've put in the link in the chat. We're looking forward to that. It's just an additional day for various and sundry things. Let me see here. I'll be searching in the Discord to see if I can find new and interesting stuff we have not talked about yet.
I don't think you pinned the StreamYard link, so they might have to scroll up a little bit.
Oh, okay. Hold on. I can do that. I think I have to open up the. Hold on. Okay. Just. Okay. Let me do this. It looks like I'm still waiting on the chat room to pop up so that I can put that on the top of the stream. Okay, we don't need him anymore. Okay, here we go. Okay. Pin. Okay. So that has been pinned. So if you're looking to join the stream, you can. And so let's see here. Looking for more for stuff to see what else we have got here. I'm looking on the Discord now if anyone's had any strange question. Well, someone asks if it's okay to keep the pre-Lent rule for the Kathisma. While it is different you do what you can handle. If you were able to handle the pre-Lent rule, just do the same pre-Lent rule. So, hold on. Okay, very good. And let's see here. Okay, and we do have a Discord. People are, there's always people active on it. About half of them, I assume, are here. And so this is just a kind of been a stream we're leaving open to see what we can do to answer questions, challenges. I don't know. What else can we can? I guess we could raid another stream. I mean, I don't know that there are any that we could raid, but
I was gonna say, what's his name? He used to have some pretty interesting streams. Oh goodness, Father Peter, but I think he's kind of low key. He's out of the limelight already, I guess.
yeah, there's like nothing really good on. I'm like looking right now. It's like looking at the live stuff. People are talking about Dune. No,
Yeah, I was listening to what's that
Oh,
thing on? What's that
the
thing
Dune
on?
thing?
No, I was saying I was listening to what's that on X? Spaces. I was listening to Spaces the other day.
I don't know if you can do. Can I do that? Can I go into Spaces on? I don't. You know what? Let me see.
Yeah, I heard.
Are there any right now? Oh, well, there's us. That's different. I can't really invade my own chat.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's take a look here. Father Peter may still be live on OE, but he doesn't show up on my thing. So, I mean, I can check.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's over.
Yeah. Apparently, he only talks about like quote unquote old calendarists behind closed doors. Man.
Well, I like this whole the perennialism, the end of ecumenism. How is it the end of ecumenism when it's like the ultimate?
It's a symptom. It's a symptom.
Yeah.
Like.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
That's what they call a pan heresy.
Yep.
I was going to ask you, Saint Justin Popovich. Is it true at the end of his life he stopped commemorating?
All basic sources at the time said that that's what happened. The reason that's even a question now is because a couple of his disciples are claiming that that's not what happened, but one of them, which was Bishop Artemier, did affirm that, but of course he died outside of the communion with the rest of the Serbians. So, I mean, I personally believe it did happen. The sources at the time seem to indicate this, and I feel like this whole thing saying he wasn't, that he didn't stop commemorating him, is a recent attempt to rewrite history.
So, kind of what they're doing with Father Sarah and anybody else that's okay.
That's right.
All right. I know it's I'm I'm having to work my way back through the revisions, back to the true story.
Yeah, I know. Everyone is.
So I'm just like, I think it might be a blessing that you left the WO when you did, because you don't have to unlearn as much, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, I was never in it very long.
Yeah.
I was catechized by a priest who, a month into my conversion, became Rokor. And then there were about a year and a half I was with World Orthodoxy after dealing with Gregory of Colorado and a bunch of stuff. So, but that was a few years later after my baptism. So, I've kind of run the gamut. So I don't, it doesn't bother me as much. I got to kind of experience true Orthodoxy inside out.
I guess my experience is I've gotten to watch. So I knew Rokor pre-union and post-union, and living through that. Like I can distinctly remember a period from like 2007 to 2012 where everything was just like super tense. And then like people that kind of got the writing on the wall by 2012, I think there's like a clear break. People ended up leaving the Rokor MP in 2012, and since then it became less and less and less of the Rokor that everybody once knew, and now it's continued in true Orthodoxy. So.
Yeah, I mean,
if that makes sense.
It's been a wild ride for people who went through the Union, especially people who were used to Rokor before that. But I'm glad I saw that as an outside observer.
Well, I was young and dumb, so like I literally came out of Judaism into Orthodoxy.
Yeah. All right, so once again, let's see here if anyone has any questions, comments, etc. I'm now trying to check on Twitter and on Discord and even on the Odyssey. I guess Dimitri put this guy again, Rocky or whatever his name is. And so, let's see here.
Have you watched the videos, at least especially that second one that Subdeacon Nectarius put up?
You mean the one with Father with
Nikitas,
the Russian priest, right?
Nikita
Gregorian, yeah. I watched about half of it. So it was really good. I think both of those interviews went very well.
Have you read any of the literature that he's written? Because he dropped a couple books in there.
No, I don't think I have.
Okay, I didn't know if they were English or not. So.
You don't remember their names, do you?
Something was like Faith and Delusion.
Hold on.
I'm trying to remember the other one. The other one's got like an overview of the Russian Church abroad or something like that.
Faith and Delusion, Gregorian, Father Nikita. It looks like it's it's in English. Here, hold on. I can send you a private link of the thing, and I can put it in the group chat also.
Okay.
So it looks like that's a Kindle edition.
Ooh, I like that.
Okay, so I put that in the group chat, and I can put it in the private chat as well if you want.
Okay.
Oh boy. I have a crying dog.
No, I can get it from the other one. No need.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, because it sounded like it'd be a good book to read. Considering my background.
Well, let me see here. All right, so I don't see any new emails, messages. We've been going for 2 hours and 10 minutes, and I said I was going to try to break the record this time. We're going to try to break the record for the length of the stream, which means that I've only got approximately 1 hour and 10 minutes to go. And of course, if anyone wants to join on the stream, they can.
I'd love to hear from DTC.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, DTC makes a lot. That's a Compromise makes a lot of great videos.
Yes, he does.
Silver-tongued Cavalier writes, do you see any potential for abuse of this phrase going around, Christ is King? You know the enemy loves to twist scripture and words. Please forgive me. You're going to think I'm awful for this. But I was originally going to call this the Christ is King stream. Only because of the fact that I've read so many horrible things that have been written related to the words Christ is King that I was like, I'm going to call this stream the Christ is King stream. And then I just totally forgot in the whole, thing. I actually did want to use that. I think the manufactured drama around the term Christ is King is ridiculous. There is nothing wrong with the term. Is it possible that people will use the term for abuse? Obviously, yeah, it is. I mean, Sneako's using it, and he's a supposed Muslim. Of course, the problem is that as much as we can deal with the reality of people who might be less so much Christian as they are just openly anti-Semitic, what about the open Zionist Inc. structure that we have to deal with in regular life? Why is it that if somebody says Christ is King, they're going to be basically deplatformed? Why is it that if someone says Christ is King, it must be assumed that they're saying it not because they love Jesus Christ, but because they hate Jews? Like, why would we make these assumptions? Why would even Christians be divided on the question? I mean, Christians. But the point is that, it's an interesting term. I mean, if you want to jump on the chat and we can talk about it, feel free. I mean, I'm open to it. I was actually going to call that the stream name just to get some discussion going. But if you want to talk about it, I'm definitely down for it. Let me see here. You just want a peanut. Okay. And so let me see here, but that's the Christ. I mean, what's your opinion on the Christ is King thing?
I mean, I don't have a problem with it. It's when it's made into a feast day. When it's Christ the King, then I might have a problem with it. But Christ is King is what is it? Isn't it one of the Prokimenon? So
yeah, it's quite popular. So, I mean, if somebody is against that, Father Boniface has joined the chat. Hi, Father. Benedicite.
Good, Benedicite.
How's it going?
All right. I was going to comment on Christ the King. America doesn't even know what a king is anymore.
Yeah.
When you think of it, I remember what the parable of the vineyard, I guess, where the king sends out his messengers to the wedding feast and to invite people, and they refuse, and so he gets angry, and And so I remember hearing a sermon on that, and I was thinking on kingship, and people don't realize that, the king is, if you have a good king, he deserves all your respect. I mean, a king deserves respect for his office, but a good king even more, and deserves your love and devotion. And he is protecting you. He's protecting your person, your property, your business. And so, therefore, if he has a special occasion, it's a good idea to honor him and attend it. And so, people just don't realize the authority of the king and the respect that he is due. And America has no conception of what a king is.
Very true.
And let's take for example the Pentecostal church. They were kings and priests. Well, okay. I was going through Hosea. I was led to Hosea, chapter 4, and I'll read you a couple, 4, 5, and 6. But yet let not any man judge, and let not a man be rebuked. For thy people are as they that contradict the priest. And thou shalt fall today, and the prophet also shall fall with thee. In the night I have made thy mother to be silent. My people have been silent because they had no knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will reject thee, that thou shalt not do the office of priesthood to me. And thou hast forgotten the law of thy God, I will also forget thy children. And when the Protestant church is busy talking about the priesthood of believers, they have forgotten the Eucharist, they've forgotten confession, they've forgotten apostolic succession, they ignored all those things. And so, Hosea is saying, because you've rejected knowledge, I will reject you, and you're not going to be a priest, and you're not going to have the office of priest. And so, we went through those anathemas just at Vespers on Saturday. The Orthodox Church anathematizes those that are saying that the monarch is that's anointed by God is not true, and so therefore the Protestants are rejecting monarchy, they're rejecting the priesthood, and so when they go around saying we're priests and kings, and say, well, you need to rethink that because you're in error, and so so I just thought I'd put that spin on it. As you're addressing that issue.
I'm glad you did. No, it's an excellent point. So many people are saying Christ is king, and the truth of the matter is, in America, how many people even know what that means? Yeah, absolutely true. So yeah, it was a great point, Father, and we're glad you're on.
Well, Father Boniface, it's interesting you bring up with the wicked servant, right? The king showed mercy, but when the servant ended up being wicked and trying to get money out of the other servant, then you saw his wrath, right?
Well, you can actually pick a lot of these parables and get a point out of it in relation to what a king is all about. And you have in that case a king who's merciful, and he has the authority to be merciful. And you get direct judgments right then and there. The issue is solved. It's not like he had to go to a committee, and which will take a year to reconcile, and forever if it gets reconciled. But you have a king who's merciful, and he makes a decision. And that's one of many aspects of the idea of kingship, which America is clueless to, and in the churches.
Oh, hey, Neurojack, welcome aboard. What's your question?
Hi, yes. So, just in the interest of time, I want to do a little bit of rapid fire Socratic dialogue, just to get to a certain point, and then I have my question. So, just really brief. As someone who grew up Protestant and again is kind of dipping my toe in Orthodoxy, I want to make some things clear because I have some suspicions about how this Christ is King thing is being used and misused, and so I want to see if there's any water to it.
Sure.
So here's where I'm kind of coming from. So what is the definition of Christ? Because I had a discussion earlier today where there was this discussion about, does it mean anointed or Messiah or both?
All the
Both.
above.
Because, yeah, Messiah is just Messiah and Christos are just different languages for
Yeah.
the word anointed.
One's Greek, one's Hebrew. Just it means anointed, and it specifically means anointed with oil. Like it kind of harkens back to how David was anointed with oil, right?
But does it specifically have anything to do with Messiah or no?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what we're saying.
Christ is the Messiah. He is the
Messiah.
anointed. He is
Yeah, Messiah is the anglicized version of Mashiach, which means anointed in Hebrew. And then Christos is anointed in Greek. It's the same word. It's just different languages.
Right, and this is what I argued, and the other person said I was confusing the language. So I just wanted to get your opinion on that. So my next argument would be something along the lines of, if you guys have any awareness of the Kabbalah, I recently heard, and I can't verify this, but I wanted to know, like, for example, they see the Antichrist as Christ to them, right? So like, they've kind of inverted Christianity, and I know this is among, like, this gets into eschatology, of Christianity as well. Like, there's an Antichrist who tries to pretend as if he is the Messiah returning, right? And then aware of this, therefore we have vigilance against this, right? But my point is, I think that people who are either non-believers or have, weaker faith, they may be tricked by such things. And so my point is, I can kind of see that somebody who was, let's say a Satanist or someone who was a hater of Jesus per se, they would use a term like Christ is King, as a term that might be a
blasphemous.
To a Christian it would mean Jesus, but obviously to someone who's evil, they would mean the Antichrist. Do you understand what I'm saying?
So you're talking about intent.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're talking about like a false Christ, and they say Christ is king. Well, yeah, I mean clearly because they're misidentifying Christ.
I believe you're using the language of the church fathers. Antichrist can be anybody that's instead of Christ.
Right, and I use this as an example because I've kind of seen some people who have dubious beliefs around Christianity, in my opinion, kind of using this term, and I can't say for sure, but I get the impression that they're kind of using it as a tongue-in-cheek joke, and I say this specifically, like if you look at the Satanic Temple, I don't know if you guys are aware of them, but like they specifically do things against Christians to like basically mock, right?
Are you talking about the ones that like Baphomet statues and all that in public places? Those kind of guys?
Yeah, that's the most obvious example. Yes, correct.
Yeah. Father, wouldn't you say they're just trying to be blasphemous?
And okay, just to understand correctly, people in the Satanic Temple are saying Christ is king?
No. What I'm saying is that I personally think that there are people who pretend to be Christians who may not be, is kind of what I'm trying to get at.
Oh.
Well, yeah, that exists, of course. In terms of that terminology, maybe. I leave it as a possibility. One thing that I don't do, however, is assume it a priori as fact. With the exception of Sneeko, the overwhelming majority of people that I've seen using the term Christ is King identify as Christians.
But my point is, it would be more likely that someone who wanted to do this kind of thing would say Christ is King, but they would never say Jesus is King. You see what I'm saying? Like,
okay.
Okay.
No, most Christians identify Jesus. Well, all Christians identify Jesus with Christ. So it's Jesus Christ. It's one or the other. If you say Jesus is King or you say Christ is King, we would assume we're talking about the same person.
Right, but that's kind of what I'm getting at. Is like I see a predation on people's assumptions. Is kind of what I'm trying to get at, right? Like, is there and specifically, I'm just kind of wondering: is there a history of the phrase "Christ is King" in the church, or is that something that's kind of a more
no, there's the Christus Vincit, which is a pre-schism hymn that's sung on Pascha and Pentecost. Effectively, for all intents and purposes, is repeating different ways of saying Christ is King. So, actually, for fun, we could actually play that on the air. So people can hear it. But this is going to be in English, but it's a translation of the Latin. But I think it pretty much establishes the concept of Christ as King is a pretty old idea. Give me just a moment, because we can do anything on this stream. So let's see if I can get this one done too.
And just to kind of illustrate kind of like my concern, I guess, and again, like I know that in the end everything will be okay, but like let's just say, for example, that Putin decided to invoke monarchy as a good thing, for example, and he tried to, annex the support of the Russian church to bolster his, his position. Like, what would be the Orthodox response to such a thing? Because I'm pretty sure that we're all on the same page that Putin would not be a Christ-like king. You see what I'm saying?
No, I don't think. I think that, in fact, and I'm gonna have to be checked on this to see if I'm wrong, but I am fairly certain that Russian media have asked things of Patriarch Kirill, like what Putin's ideal view of government would be, and he kind of always says, "Well, like we have it now." So I don't think Vladimir Putin has any interest in putting on the crown jewels of the Tsar. I think he kind of likes where he is now, where he has the autocracy that he apparently wants, and I say apparently because we don't really know how in control he is, but he also has the trappings of modernity. So I mean,
and I don't see him interacting with the church the same way a Tsar would.
Yeah. Well, with the interview with Tucker Carlson, when Tucker talked about religion, he and how he ruled and history, Putin said that he looked pretty much at history, basically, to paraphrase it, from a secular viewpoint. He didn't see God at work in the affairs of the nations.
Well, and if you push him, and if you read what he actually says, he sounds like a perennialist, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, and just on that point, like if you look at someone like Dugin, who is very, very influential, and people have kind of debated, is he a Christian, is he or whatever. I mean, he says that the Kabbalah is the greatest work of human history, and he's definitely a perennialist, if not.
No, but I don't think anyone on this panel thinks Dugin is Orthodox, because he isn't.
No.
But I definitely see the influence of his politics on Christianity is kind of what I'm like.
Maybe on Russia to some degree, but I would say that one of the things that you have to understand, and this is is that especially one of the reasons that Dugin is interesting to non-Russians is because of his concepts on race and nation state. And these things are unfortunately, they're popular for different reasons, but I don't think that I don't think in terms of his effect on the church, I'd say it's little to none. In any case, I did find that hymn, so I do want to share that. Give me just a moment. Dugin wants to absorb all tendencies of nations into a big imperial idea. He does. So I'm going to share that real quick. So give me just a moment here. Where is it? There. Okay. And so this is actually back when our former father Aidan Keller was with us. But I think it answers the question as to what the church's belief was pre-schism in the West.
Christ doth conquer, Christ doth reign, Christ doth rule the universe. Christ doth conquer, Christ doth reign, Christ doth rule the universe. Hearken, O Christ, to his beatitude the patriarch, be life and salvation unending. Savior of the world, do thou help him. Holy Peter, do thou help him. Holy Clement, Do thou help him. Holy Sixtus, do thou help him. Christ hath conquered, Christ hath reigned, Christ hath ruled the universe. Hearken, O Christ, to Georgia, President by God's permission, and all in governing this land, peace, salvation, and victory. Redeemer of the world, do thou help them, holy and mild. Do thou help them, holy Amenegil. Do thou help them, holy Oswald. Do thou help them. Christ hath conquered, Christ hath reigned, Christ hath ruled the universe. Hearken, O Christ, to Barbara, our First Lady, and all women governing this land, salvation and long life. Redeemer of the world, do thou help them, Holy Mary.
Okay, well, it's 6 minutes long, so I don't know how much you guys want to listen to that. So, in any case, the point is that the idea that Christ is king is not a new idea by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, you're going to have people who just use the words, but when you find out their context or the body of what they're teaching, then you'll sniff them out.
That's true.
And actually, in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 13, God purposely sends false prophets to test the people. And so, but he says, they can say, Jesus is Lord and Christ is King, but when you get to the body, and then you find out that they're actually trying to lead people away from the true faith, the Lord says, they're there for a test to see whether you really believe in me, and then the whole view of, let's say, the orthodoxy, the whole package. And so therefore, you just have to get the full picture of what's going on, and then you discern.
And Lord is another way of saying king.
Also true. Now somebody asked in the Discord chat, I'm just going to copy this because it is an interesting question. Give me just a moment while I put that in the banner. 1 second. And somebody asked, what is the true Orthodox jurisdiction of Antioch? It's a question from Bart in the Discord chat. And the true Orthodox jurisdiction of Antioch, okay, if you're familiar with what we've talked about with the different kinds of Matthewites, and we get to the Karakites, there was a bishop in Mount Lebanon, around Mount Lebanon, who basically, he was originally a monk. He originally joined, I believe, our synod. He eventually went to the Karakite Matthewites, and he set up there. The reason people are now, like Patriarch John was complaining about old calendarists in his jurisdiction, is because this bishop, I want to say his name is Seraphim, but I could be wrong, of Mount Lebanon, basically has amassed a following of a few thousand people in the Antiochian jurisdiction who are true Orthodox. I mean, it's kind of bound to happen everywhere eventually, especially, Antioch had originally been with good relations with us, and then they kind of went wholeheartedly into ecumenism, and so
now they're cuddling up with the Monophysites and the also the Melkites now. So.
Yep. It was bound to happen that somebody was going to do that. Like, to the idea that it's some sort of shock. I'm surprised it hadn't happened earlier, if we're being honest. But yeah, so that's that's my take on that. So let me see here. So let's look for more questions and comments and stuff like that. Let me see here. Do we have anything on the Twitter or the Gab? I don't see anything. Let me see here. Yeah, so nothing there. So did you have any other questions, Neurojack? Like you mentioned that there were kind of, you were kind of premising it, I guess. And do you want to? Was that the main question you had, or?
Well, I guess perhaps I have a hypervigilance, which can lead into maybe overthinking things, and I fully acknowledge that is possible. But I definitely have just seen a lot of posturing politically and philosophically that is, I question the validity of its meshing with Christianity as I understand it. And I think I don't see much skepticism by the general populace and Protestants. I'm kind of not shocked by it because I grew up in it. I'm aware of it, but specifically with Catholics and with Orthodoxy, I don't see it as well. And I think I'm just kind of like, concerned by that because I see, and I'm not going to try to get in all the detail, but, I see a lot of maneuvering of Christians, specifically within the Orthodox sphere online, but, also just more broadly, like when you watch Tucker Carlson and all this, like I know the philosophy that they're employing and it's not Christian, but they're doing a good job of dressing it up as if it were, you know what I'm saying? And I just don't know how we're I guess my question is, what is our role as Christians? Do we just try to point it out, or do we kind of take a more active stance to try to interfere, or, I guess that's kind of what I'm trying to get at.
I think that what we're dealing with, especially when we're talking, I'm assuming that you're relating this to the concept of Christian nationalism, which has become more popular over the past year.
Yeah, that specifically, and the things that people have tried to tie on to, because I think that the term Christian nationalism, I agree with it, but when I hear people define what they mean by it, I have severe disagreements about how they're trying to define it. You know what I mean?
Well, and we would probably have severe disagreements with them as well. But the reason for that is because of the fact that there have been different kinds of states and kingdoms that have formed under the aegis of the church, or even more broadly, under the aegis of Christianity, more nebulously. So when an Orthodox Christian is talking about Christian nationalism, and say, for example, a German Baptist is talking about, or German Anabaptist, I should say, is talking about different. Christian nationalism, they're talking about very, very different systems and very different mentalities. Orthodoxy is very pro-monarchist. We believe that's a model that is, has been useful and at its highest forms for the church. I don't think say you take like Amish or Mennonite groups, I don't think they'd have the same regard for the royal power that we would. So it's going to mean different things. And when you say Christian nationalism to a Roman Catholic, of course he's thinking of like Franco or something like that. So everyone's thinking different things.
Well, with nationalism, like at least with Protestantism and Catholicism, it seems that they try to I would kind of use like South America for an example. We had a whole theology come out of what is it? Liberal theology or what?
Liberation theology.
Liberation theology. Yeah. So
communism.
When you fuse nationalism and a false theology like that, then I would wholeheartedly disagree with that quote unquote Christian nationalism. But what I would say Orthodoxy, to use an American word, would be more patriotic. They would hold their country. I think
you have there's some good discussion here, because I think that, let's say, for example, Tucker Carlson and his conservative approach to issues, but he's also underhandedly, or he's pro-democracy. I don't see him. He's just promoting, America. Let's get back to the originals or whatever. But he's promoting, a conservative, democratic viewpoint, and that is
classically liberal, though.
And really, it's Protestantism, because America was formed on Masonic principles, but Protestant principles. America did not want a monarchy, and so therefore we have this democratic constitutional republic. And so really, all they're promoting is a revival or try to rehash and get back to the original state of affairs, which apparently was really great when this country was founded, but really wasn't. And so really this country was founded on humanistic principles that fought monarchy. And so really I would say that, you know, Christian nationalism is now in the struggle to be defined. And, you know, if you come in as an Orthodox and say, I'm a Christian nationalist and that means a monarchy, boy, you just lit a fire. And
well, let me try to give you some of my perspective, which, you know, again, may or may not be valid, but just to try to tease this out a bit to give you a little bit wider view, like of my, like where I would see the problems that I don't see Christians seeing specifically. So, like, for example, like I think that you do I see very good critiques of liberalism to some degree, like what you're talking about, but also like, you know, the Enlightenment gave us both humanism, but also it gave us science and technology and all this. And what specifically what I see going on with the Christian nationalism and Elon Musk and Tucker Carlson, just to name a very few of many people involved in this, you know, they're trying to merge the Enlightenment science and gadgets and go to space stuff with
I see what you're saying.
a theocracy, right? And like, I don't know that you can really, you know, have your enlightenment and eat it too. You know what I'm saying? It's like they want to keep some things from it, and then they want to dispose what's inconvenient, right? And I'll give you a very specific person to look into. If you look into someone like Charles Haywood, and I'm not saying he's a bad person, but if you read his philosophy and his political involvement, and he's been on Tucker Carlson, he's trying to merge, you know, like this techno-fascism with a monarchy and say that it's a you know, Orthodox Christianity thing. And I'm like, it's just very bizarre to me. Like, how can you keep roots of the Enlightenment and then get rid of it? Like, we can't really put that back in the bottle, I guess is what I'm trying to say, right?
I would say I would have problems with the Enlightenment because I don't think it was very enlightening. I think the Enlightenment was a revolution. And I would say that the bastard child, excuse my French. See what I did there, French Revolution. Okay. But the problem I would have is that the Enlightenment is giving birth to a technocracy, the science and technology that some people in the progressive elite are embracing wholeheartedly is going to be the new dark ages, as it were. You know, so like truly dark ages, not like dark ages where it was a falsified dark age. Dark. And
you can also put into the conversation the movement of Judaism and Zionism and the roles that the Jews have played through history to subvert governments. And so, you know, if that has to be addressed, and if people are not addressing it, and some of the financial issues and the junk bonds that have been forwarded by, you know, the Rothschild family, and I think they're still trying to shoot those junk bonds and make people buy them and put people in slavery and stuff like that, which they did with Lincoln. And so.
Well, Father Boniface, let me ask you a question. You seem more steeped in history than me. Any of the modern democracies, were they established by a revolution or a revolt?
Well, I tell you what, I look at the origin, the watershed moment was with the trial of Charles I. And this is where Vladimir Moss comes in, where with Charles I, if you can, and Vladika Enoch said this, you can look at the actual transcript. People recorded stuff that went on with that trial. And here's what Charles I said. He said that, first of all, your creation of a court is illegal. Second of all, your charges are illegal. And he said, as a matter of fact, being a monarch and the king, I am concerned for the rights of the people. And what's more is that when you have a false court and false charges, and if you win the day, I fear for the future of the people, because you can now do whatever you want to do at your own whim and fancy. And so
sounds like
if
democracy.
And that's exactly what they brought forward, because they said the people rule now. And so you have a faction of men, Cromwell being one of the heads in this trial that put him to death, who are saying, we are the voice of the people. And so they gather their following. But it's funny, Charles is saying, you're not really the voice of the people. You are the voice of your own selves who say you are the voice of the people.
And then what did Cromwell do?
It was almost like the Bolshevik 1.0 revolution at that point, and like that's the kind of, it's like almost like the precursor to the Bolsheviks,
Yes, it set a principle where you can say that Cromwell was attended the Westminster Assembly, where Presbyterianism was evolved out of, and so it was carried over to America, where the British Parliament said, daughter of America has run off with a Presbyterian minister, and so therefore you get all of those principles in the founding of America, and so you're looking at the watershed of Western civilization. And then, of course, with the Bolsheviks, you have the development in Russian history of the infiltration of Western thought coming in and capturing more of Russia than what they wanted what the czars wanted. And so Russia gets captured by humanistic thinking, and the Bolsheviks move in and sway the people, and then look what happened. And so therefore, if you tie some of this together, you can say that Antichrist loves democracy because he hides in the background. Monarchs are up front, but the Antichrist and the democracy is in the background, the hidden hand behind all that's going on.
That's the point I'm making about modern democracies is, I mean, it's interesting. You can see the evil one's hand and stuff because, who was the first one to revolt?
That's right.
Just really quick, I'm trying to be as. Sorry, a motorcycle just came by. Sorry. So just to be as direct and as also as broad as I can, I guess my real thing that I'm trying to get at is I can kind of see that, this modern stuff going on is kind of like the whoever is running the Bolsheviks, let's just say it's Satan, because that's what I would say that it is. I mean, they're getting they're getting very creative of how they're trying to trick humanity, and they have all the tools at their disposal. And you kind of mentioned the financial systems, and I noticed that with all the Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency and all this stuff is they're selling a new version of conservatism around the world with Trump and the guy in Malay. And if you start looking closer into all these people, they're all tied into Jewish messianism cults essentially. And I think that they're trying to hijack Christianity really.
Let me put this in perspective for you. So we read in Scripture where we're going to have the mark of the beast, right?
Yes.
So wouldn't a technocratic government be the ideal form of government to bring that forth?
Oh, definitely.
So you're seeing us tumble into digital currency, right? Yeah, so in Scripture it says that in the latter days, you won't be able to even purchase stuff unless you have the mark, right? Whatever that mark may be. So I think it's going to be technologically related. I think people that are true Orthodox Christians are going to resist that.
If I may, and I do want to insert this here because I do like cryptocurrency. I would say that the creation of central bank digital currencies, which is already existing.
Well, that's what I meant. Universal.
Yeah, those things are evil, and they
Yeah.
literally can restrict your buying and selling. The whole point is they're not really cryptos, so they're designed currencies that are controlled by governments.
Yeah.
So just to make that distinction,
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah. I don't think I said
like
crypto,
cash
but
versus gold and silver, that sort of thing.
yeah.
Yeah, no, and again, like I think that's the thing is like they're taking all these good things and they're making them bad, right? Like they're taking good ideas and destroy. And again, I think that's kind of my whole thing is
That's what evil
I'm noticing,
does.
like the Shabbat. Yeah, but I guess what I'm the reason I don't really like to talk about these things, but I guess the reason I like to try to get into the mechanics of how they're doing it, and talk about the politics is not really because I care about the politics, but I guess what I'm saying is, how do you give this kind of discernment to the general Christians who are kind of falling for the tricks, or is it just not our responsibility? I guess
come to the church.
No, I think it is our responsibility. But I would say that the only clear standard and rule by which you can discern is orthodoxy.
Correct.
Because I've traveled out of Protestantism into orthodoxy, and the more you come into orthodoxy, the clearer the picture gets, because you understand government, you understand theology better, much more clearly, and therefore when you're talking with Protestants, you have to present, a whole package. And really what's happening in Protestantism is that the New World Order is utilizing Protestantism very well. Protestantism is an excellent tool of the New World Order because it's democratic.
Well, it's malleable. It's very malleable too.
And then you see, because they don't have truth behind them, they have a particle of truth. So therefore, they're malleable, they're deceivable. And so therefore, you have to break through the fog and just start working point by point and cast down all the imaginations, which they are imaginations, and bring them a good dose of reality, one person at a time, or it depends on if you're in a group of people. You just present the Orthodox faith and study.
Even within Orthodoxy, you can be deluded still, though. So you should come to Orthodoxy, because that's where the truth is. The person that is truth.
Yep. You got to work at it, because there's deception everywhere. You got to work at it.
Even within the church, you don't. It's not like, hey, I made it. I'm here.
Well, yeah, but you run the risk of heresy, but as long as you cleave to the teachings of the Fathers,
correct? Yes,
you'll be okay.
You have to run the race
and have the counsel of God's people, like watching an NFTU.
Yeah, exactly. And again, like I think that kind of my the way that I see, and again, like I'm reeling from my experience as a American, as a Protestant, as a many different hats that I've worn through my life, right? And I'm trying to come to the right
you're sorting things out, because you've come to Orthodoxy with a certain history, a certain philosophy, a certain sort of politics, and
right.
then you have to for example, some people read themselves into Orthodoxy. Some people witness what's going on around them and realize, whoa, hey, this is not the church. I need to go find the true church. And they keep looking and looking and looking. And they just go to different churches to experience it. And finally, they make their way to Orthodoxy. So it sounds like you yourself, or you sound like you're you like to be led to the truth. But the only way you can do that is by coming to the truth and participating in the truth. Does that make sense?
Well, no. Well, and that's specifically kind of what I was trying to get at. Is like I think that it's the participation, and I think that participating in liturgy and the church is important. But I think also, like, when I say participate, I also mean like having a lot of vigilance.
Yeah, but you asked earlier how you can share that discernment with others, right? The only way you can share the discernment with others is to receive that discernment yourself. And you can't do that apart from the church. Right.
And have some websites, and maybe get up a little business card and put some websites on it to say, here, go there, or build your own, and have a witnessing tool, and say, and start up maybe a little mission.
Well, are you Orthodox yet, Nora Jack?
I have not officially joined the church yet. I'm inquiring, and I'm trying to take it not slow, but I want to make sure that I'm doing it in a way where it's honest with myself and with the church.
Yeah,
it's
I
not
see what you're saying.
to just jump in head
I
first
respect your journey, but let me give you a word of warning. Don't intellectualize yourself out of the church either, if you're heading towards it, because it sounds like you can get wrapped up in your own arguments there. I was the same way. I almost left. So.
Well, and Orthodoxy is an experience. Attend the liturgy, and work the liturgy. Get our liturgy. Learn to say it, and keep in touch with the priests, and just start digging in, and pray hard, because once you get into the flow here, the blessings just come. But it's labor, but it's also warfare, because it's a spiritual battle, and you need the power and strength of Orthodoxy. No question about it. And
someone, go ahead, Father. I'm sorry.
No, go for it. Go ahead.
I was just saying, as someone who's catechized a lot of people and seen a lot of different walks to the church, this might be a broad generalization, but maybe Father Boniface can back me up on it. But people coming from a Protestant background have to intellectually ascend themselves, kind of like what they were doing in Protestantism, to certain ideas in the church. It's not an intellectual ascent; it's an ascent of the heart. So you, as a Protestant, you're gonna have to get your head out of the way so your heart can receive the grace that comes from being part of the church.
Well, definitely the last year since I've been inquiring, I can tell you, like, I have surprised myself with how hardened my heart has become throughout my life, and I think that's kind of the thing that
glory to God for that wisdom. Glory to God.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing I've really been struggling the most with, because I thought I was still the soft-hearted person I believed I was, and I found out that I wasn't. Right, and I think that's kind of the difficult thing to.
A lot of people think because they're moral people, they're good people. Does that make sense?
And I go out in Lakeland, and Friday, the first Friday of the month, is called First Friday, where a lot of people come to the center of the city and set up booths and stuff like that. And you get some Baptist churches, some evangelical churches, Pentecostal, whatever. And I talk to these people, and one thing I probably will share with one particular person next time is, it isn't always just intellect. And like Reader John was saying, it's a hard thing, and it's also a willful thing. It's like, are you willing, let's say this, to submit to the king? Do you have a heart that's going to say, Lord, if you're the boss, I need to follow, and I need to trust you, and I need to quit doing things my way. And if you say, do it this way, I need to obey seriously and trust you. And so I'll tell this one person, I would say, you're at private judgment again. 2 Peter 1:20. That's your opinion. That's your judgment. You need to quit it and trust in the church. And what the councils say and what the fathers say. And so I said, so you are now influenced by Calvin and Luther and all your commentaries and all the churches that you're going to. And are you afraid of your pastor? And are you afraid to leave the congregation and lose all your friends for the sake of Jesus Christ and for the sake of his church? Because that's what you're looking at. And the thing is that when you do that, you're not going into a pit of despair. You're not going into a black hole. You're going into the glory of the fellowship of the saints. You may be small, but you are powerful, joyful, and blessed. And this is what I want to tell people is that you're leaving things, but it's not your will. I must decrease. He must increase. you're leaving things behind, and look what you're gaining. You're gaining the pearl of great price. And so there is cost involved, and you've got to be willing to pay it, and you will not be shortchanged. You will receive gold and silver and precious stones and a blessing.
I lost a lot of relatives when I came to Orthodoxy, mainly because I was coming from Judaism. And, I mean, they couldn't accept Christ as the Messiah. But the thing past that is they didn't like that I was becoming a different person. They liked who I was in Judaism. But when I was in Judaism, I was an empty shell. So whatever you're leaving behind, trust me, when you come to Orthodoxy, it's going to be a lot better because you'll be filled with joy. That joy is indescribable.
Well, I want to thank you guys for your communion. I mean, speaking with me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's what we're here for. So don't even sweat it.
And I'll keep you in my prayers, brother.
Thank you. Well,
all right.
Well, I'll let you guys go. I appreciate the time. I have to go finish some work before the end of the night. But I appreciate speaking with you guys, and hopefully we'll do it soon. And God bless you guys.
You too. God bless you.
God bless. Well, that was interesting. He was a lot more suspicious of Orthodoxy when we first started talking to him.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Well, I think that's great. I think that's people coming into and joining in with the net. Bring them in.
Sometimes you have to speak to the heart instead of the mind. So.
Yeah. Oh, that's yeah. Amen.
Well, thank God for that. So we've hit the first minute of the third hour. I have not seen, as I mentioned here, I think the record here has been 3 hours and 15 minutes. I don't know if I'm going to break any records today.
It's only 19 more minutes, Father. Come on.
I mean, I can do it. We can do it. It's fine. I just the whole point is, that's something that I definitely, I'm glad we were able to do a bit of a longer stream. Of course, I'll be here Sunday, but God willing. And so, that's if people have any more questions or comments, feel free. I know that I see that we have, people on X, Twitter. Feel free to ask them. It does show them here. So, just there are others who have questions. And
I love that newer Jack came on.
Yeah.
Honest Inquirer. That's thank God for that.
Well, thank God. Honestly, it is. It's a wonderful thing. Let me see here. Okay,
yeah, and I think we all kind of work together to be an encouragement to them.
Yeah.
Well, it is like we kind of have to encourage one another.
Well, that's that's part of the task of a Christian is that's what we're supposed to do. So it's good. So well, in any case, so if anyone has comments or questions, or we're going to be here for at least another 15 minutes.
How are things down in Florida, Father?
How things in Florida?
Yeah.
Getting warmer. I tell you what, I went over to Tampa today to get flooring for my house, my new house.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to carry 28 boxes of 80-pound flooring.
Wow.
Loaded it on my trailer, and from down over in Tampa, and drove it over to my place, and dropped it off, and then so anyway, I'm just pray that the Hermitage will get set up and be a beautiful place so that we can minister to the hearts and the minds of people and bring them into the fold. So, just pray. It's a lot of work, and so that's things in Florida at the moment.
Wow, you must have a back like a mule. 80 pounds. Wow.
I have a postal back, which meant that I've been to the chiropractor My chiropractor is my next to best friend.
Here's a question we got. Manny says, "Gents, I go to a Matthewite church. I want to get baptized. Am I going to the right place according to you?" Well, if they're the closest Orthodox church and you haven't been baptized, you should probably get baptized. Simple answer.
Yeah. Unless you have any specific concerns that are
like
you.
if it's just that you want to get baptized because you haven't been baptized, then that's not an issue. But is there an underlying concern maybe you want to talk about? Otherwise, if it's just you've heard things about this group or that group and you haven't been baptized and you're invited to the church and they're happy and they want to baptize you and you want to be baptized, yeah, go ahead, definitely. But if you want to clarify any more, please go ahead. Does the Hermitage have a name? Well, that's a great question. What is the Hermitage's name?
The Hermitage of the Conversion of St. Paul the Apostle.
And you can also find their website find Father Boniface's Hermitage website at stpaulhermitage.org or .com.
.com.
.com. Okay, yeah, it's .com. I knew that. In any case, so yeah, you can take a look there.
Kind of work on that branding, Father. That's a mouthful.
I'm really not that good at this. Getting better. Trying to get better. stpaulhermitage.com.
Yeah, that's what that website name is good, but the Hermitage of the Conversion of St. Paul the Apostle, that's what my bishop gave to me.
Okay.
So
that's a great name for it. It's just doesn't work well for the internet. The Hermitage of the Conversion of St. Paul.com would probably be much harder to do.
Well, we would, Father Joseph and I, he coached me to kind of straighten that out a little bit and make it more palatable. So anyway, so I took the name Boniface, but we kept Paul around since that is my birth name. Mm-hmm. And so we kept that in the light there. And so here we are in Lakeland, sunny Florida, trying to move forward. And so pray for us down here. And
is there a reason you were bestowed with the name of Boniface? I think I have an inkling of why you were given the name.
Well, my ordination was certified on the feast of Boniface in June, and so he was an English missionary who went to Germany.
Yeah.
So in other words, he was an Anglican or an early British Orthodox who went to convert the heathen in Germany. And so he was a missionary. And so I really liked that aspect since I've been on the mission field a couple times and I do evangelism. And so I thought, well, I'll wed my ordination day to his name, and then we'll take the Hermitage name to kind of blend them together. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah,
he's
missionary
gospel to the Germans. Yeah.
So.
And plus, Boniface brings them more up to date a few more centuries later to kind of give me some more recent history to relate to also.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Father Antonius can almost guarantee that the conversion of St. Paul Hermitage is available. It probably is. I don't know that you'd want to use it though. But in any case, let's see here. All right, so I'm not seeing any new questions here. We are now at the 8th minute. So if you have any questions or comments, you are running out of time. I know I said at the beginning that I would answer every question, but there are no questions. So
well, I wanted to say that the www.stpaulhermitage.com, I have an excellent webmaster there whose name is Matushka Xenia. Yeah. So there.
Well, Matushka, yeah. We don't talk about it much. She mostly does sites for the church, but she does, also other. She does websites. Yes, she's very good at it.
And if any of y'all are musically inclined, I think Father Joseph needs an intro and an outro.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if I'm gonna do like anything that big. I was thinking something that just like just black, put the logo on, and with a shoom or something. Just like something simple, or take one of those transitions from like the old superhero shows, or something.
You're not gonna do any Western Rite hymnology. Come on.
I think
you Reader John, you hit on something there, because I've been I play guitar, and I've written a few songs here and there, but I actually am studying Gregorian chant a little bit at the moment, so that I can do the Western Psalter, because it's in Gregorian chant, and I'm learning the notes, how to do all the notes. There's a good little website on YouTube. What is it? The Gregorian Academy, Gregorian Chant Academy, and so I've been digging into that stuff. So I think that's a good point. We do need to get a musical testimony out there of some good stuff, so that it will attract people to our liturgy and to our work. And so I would I think that's a good idea. Father Joseph needs a good intro and a good outro. Well, I'll work on it.
Yeah, especially since it's like what is it, 20 years? Wait, how long has that FTU been around now?
NFTU is going to, if we're talking about the website and everything, NFTU is going on its 20th anniversary in August.
Yeah, that'd be a good present.
Well, who was Dostoevsky's favorite composer?
I don't know.
I'm going to go with Tchaikovsky.
Probably.
Tchaikovsky, with the 1812 overture.
Yep.
That's what I want for an intro. That'll work.
There you go.
Sure.
You want apologetics? I'll give you apologetics.
And if you don't like it, bam.
That's how we can kick people off when they start spouting.
Yeah,
start playing that and just get out of here. But in all honesty, most people, it seems, and that's how this kind of started. Most people who want to attack NFTU or want to attack True Orthodox or want to attack me personally, for some reason, when asked for direct confrontation, seem very uninterested in actually doing it. They really like swiping from the corners.
Yeah, it's called cowardly behavior.
Yeah, exactly. Let me see.
Father can't say it because he's nicer than me.
I can sometimes. I'll go.
Look. And with the music of the 1812, you need to have a video, a pictorial. When the guns go off, you get some.
And then he needs some sound effects from like the 1960s Batman.
The spinning with.
Pow.
But yeah, that's what, I'd be interested to try. Don't stress yourself out over it. I'm still thinking. Clearly, I have no concept I'm married to on the idea of what the intro or outro should look like. So, but definitely, I think it's going to be interesting. We've still got some plans for the future. We're going towards the end of March, and at least 2 debates and discussions I thought I'd be having didn't pan out. So I'm hoping maybe we'll get them by next month. I definitely will, I promise, at this point, finish the 2 books so that we can do book reviews on Patrick Craig Truglia's book, and more importantly, the one that we started, which was on Ivan Illin's on Resistance to Evil by Force, which
maybe they're worried about the Ides of March on the Julian calendar.
Well, in any case, so it has been an interesting. I'm going to just check one thing because I want to make sure that I'm not saying things falsely. Hold on.
Tu Brute.
I was going to say that.
Here.
I read too much history.
At 2 Arius.
All right, so I am double checking Wow, I made a mistake. We are nowhere near the record.
What's the record?
The record was the 2023 recap, which I guess held that at the end of the year.
Oh, I think I was on that one.
I think you were. I think Father Boniface might have been on it. We had like 10 people on it.
Yeah.
It actually was 3 hours, 54 minutes, and 52
Oh
seconds.
my!
I'm sorry, it ain't happening, Father. I gotta go to bed soon.
Yeah, we're at 3 hours and 15 minutes, guys. I think
Yeah.
this is where I'm gonna cut it because I don't think I'm gonna keep this going until 12:45. I
No.
really should have started this early. I will try to do a mega stream, a super stream, but it's got to be earlier. I can't do it at 8:30.
Have you thought about getting on doing like I know you're not onto the mainstream software, but for people that support like doing Google Meets, private Google Meets, talking about stuff if they don't feel like getting on the main YouTube
Oh yeah,
stream.
no, I do consultations when requested. All you have to do is reach out to me through Discord, through Gab, through Twitter, Twitter X,
Twix,
or my email. Any of those. Yeah, I do one-on-one sessions.
I would love to see like bringing some people onto Spaces on X. That'd be a interesting space.
Yeah, I have no idea how to do that. Like we're on X right now, but I have no idea how it works.
It's not that hard. It's not that hard.
All right, and let's see. First Down says, "Have a good night, all. God bless." So another viewer has given up, but Father Antonio says, "Let's put on some coffee." I mean, I do have the K-cup machine. I don't know.
No, I got prostate issues. Forget that.
Okay. Peter John is out. Father Tony's
no
like
coffee.
quitters. I don't know, Father Boniface, how much longer you want to stay on this one.
No, I'm ready to hit the hay. I got a busy day tomorrow too.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're the 40 plus crowd here. So.
Yeah, so I understand. I mean, unless
40 plus.
Because I'm not doing this by myself. In any case, all right. Well, since I'm not seeing anything going on, there's no other questions or comments, and we do have the second longest stream in the history of the channel.
Right.
So then I think this was good enough for now. And
keep Neurojack in your prayers, everyone.
Keep Neurojack in your prayers. It sounds like he's getting closer to orthodoxy, and God willing, he does. Also, to Manny, who's going to get baptized, many years for you. If you have not been baptized and you're looking to get baptized, we do support that. God willing, it goes great for you.
Yeah, Father Joseph knows somebody that goes and baptizes people.
Huh?
You know somebody that goes to baptize people, don't you? His name's Father Joseph.
Yeah, I've baptized people. I've done it. I can do it again. So can Father Boniface.
That's our calling.
Yeah, we have to talk logistics here. People want to get baptized. You just tell us where you are. We can figure it out.
I'm not allowed.
Not yet. But anyway. All right. Well, in that case, I am going to call it quits for the evening right here at the stroke of midnight because we are hitting that. I'd like to thank
the ball's dropping.
I'd like to thank everyone who called in. I'd like to thank everyone who made comments, everyone who had questions, and of course everyone who came on the show. There were a few people. Okay, that is just an alarm going off for no reason. And so thank you for your prayers, your comments, your donations, especially. Remember that, we are looking to hopefully get the car repaired, and it's also the end of the month. God willing, we're gonna make it. Let's have faith in God and that.
Where do we donate to help with the car stuff?
If you go to
the usual
nft.net,
suspects.
Huh? Yeah, the usual suspects. There's nothing special. So there's the Give and Go NFTs website. They're always the same. All right, and at the compromise, I think might have the last comment with morning. Yes, that's exactly what it is now. All right, everyone. In that case, thank you all, and you have a great night. And through the prayers of the Holy Father, so Jesus Christ, our God, have mercy on us and save us.
Amen.